Up like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. Share the content. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we are going to be talking about a very interesting subject, and a subject that I can kind of see how some might think it could be controversial. We are actually going to talk about something that is very rarely talked about from what I've seen. We're going to talk about Black women's mental health crisis, y'all. Okay, we're going to talk about Black women's mental health crisis, because when you just look at life, you can kind of see one. Okay, you can kind of see one. Now, I'm not going to quote unquote diagnose anybody. Not saying that. I'm just saying you see evidence of a mental health crisis when you look at Black women as a collective. How do you not? Okay. Now, but we gonna get into some real stuff, y'all. We ain't gonna. This is not to make fun of Black women. This is not to, you know what I'm saying, embarrass them or anything like that. This is us dealing with real issues, so people can actually think about real issues. And you know what? If you put some thought into some real issues, you might actually solve one. Okay. So that's what we're gonna do here. All right. That's what we're gonna do. All right. But before we go too far into this, First thing I want to do is give a shout out to the people who help make things happen around here the way that they do, because I cannot do things the same way without these folks. I have folks who step up to the plate and step up in big ways, okay? They step up to the plate and step up in big ways. And y'all, somebody done did it, okay? We got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's stream, my main man, Irvin Reed, y'all. Irvin Reed is the sponsor of today's stream. He was the champ for 2024. Okay, he ended up being the champ for 2024. Y'all, I got to say, I don't know what to tell y'all, brother, but Irvin Reed done came through again. And he gonna take that top spot for the moment, y'all. He gonna take that top spot for the moment as far as the sponsors of the stream. He coming through with big numbers, y'all. Irvin Reed is stomping through with big numbers. Now I know Trey Bentley been holding down that championship spot for a while, but Irvin Reed is doing his thing, y'all. Irvin Reed is doing his thing. So I got to say, shout out to Irvin Reed, man. Appreciate you big time, my brother. Appreciate you big time. You know, it sometimes you don't notice how much love people show you sometimes. Now, luckily, since I've been tracking some stuff, I've been seeing some things. So got to say shout out to Irvin Reed. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Now, let me get some shout outs to some of the first people checking in this morning. And y'all know how it goes over here at the Roger Report Live, y'all. But today, y'all better make way for Sarah B, y'all. Make way for Sarah B. She don't even know what happened herself, y'all. Y'all see that comment? She said, why am I the only one here still? Laugh out loud. She don't even know what happened to herself, y'all. But Sarah came and did the thing today, y'all. She became what's known around these parts, okay? You know, I don't know what you are when you're somewhere else, but around these parts, Sarah B is the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And yo, I gotta say, y'all, she said, why am I the only one here? Still, laugh out loud. Well, Sarah, the show got put up a little late today. Later than I normally put them up. So a lot of people didn't have a chance to come in. I'm pretty sure people looked for it and they was trying to get their Highlander on today. I'm sure many of people look. You know, they probably was looking around 7, 8 this morning. Who knows? Maybe 6 a.m. Who knows? They was looking, but they ain't find it. Okay, they was looking, but they did not find. And Sarah, you just happened to find it first. So shout out to you for being Highlander of today's stream. But of course, following right behind you, my main man, the guy who keeps everything in order with my other fellas, leader of the pit crew, Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building. Appreciate you big time, brother. Appreciate you building. Thank you for how you hold it down. Shout out to the whole pit crew. Shout out to the whole pit crew. Shout out to the righteous teacher coming through right behind Chef. Great to see you, my brother. Great to see you. Copper D is in the building. J-Dub also is here. The deputy on the grill is representing for the pit crew. Like to see you. Like to see you. Appreciate you. Jay Bones is in the building. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Always great to see you, Jay Bones. Always great to see you. Boot camp is checked in. We got D in the house. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Afro Merchant is at the cool table. Great to see you as well. Y'all, the true ones know. That's all I'm gonna say, y'all. The true ones know, y'all. Now, I did not tell y'all I was gonna be off today. I didn't tell y'all that. Okay, if I'm gonna miss a show, I try to let some people know I'm gonna miss a show. I ain't saying nothing about missing no show. So guess what? There's people who hovering around and they sitting there like, man, is Roger not going on today? I didn't say I wasn't going on. So guess what? I'm here. Okay, guess what? I'm here. And I had to show up by 9. So, but guess what? I'm here. So, hey, you gotta watch that. You gotta watch that Highlander spot. It can get tricky sometimes. Today was just one of those days. It was a little bit tricky, but it can get tricky sometimes. But let's get into it, y'all, because I think this is a much needed show. I wish I would have got it up earlier so more people would have been notified about this one a long while ago. But this is a much needed show. This is something that needs to be done, y'all. We're talking about Black women's mental health crisis. Now, I know a lot of people have tried to put a light on Black men in mental health crisis. Some people do it for very honorable reasons because they're concerned about Black men who are truly actually having some mental health crisis. which I'm not going to say is the average black man. The average black man is not going through a mental health crisis. There is a small contingent of us, very small contingent, who do have some issues going on that they need some assistance with. And of course, I want those brothers to get whatever help they need, because it's not cool to be sick. It's just not cool to be sick. There's no way to make that sound cool. So if you're a brother and you need some assistance, go get your assistance. Don't be worried about other people like that. And I'm gonna say, if you don't get some assistance you need, we'll mess around up here and looking like black women, because I'm saying black women have a mental health crisis going on. To make it nice, I'm gonna say my opinion. It's not an opinion, but I'm gonna say my opinion. Because they obviously have a mental health care crisis going on. Okay? It's obvious. People don't say it, but it's obvious. Okay? What are black women doing and displaying as a collective that was even implied there's not a major mental health care crisis going on with black women? Okay? Nothing. Ain't really nothing they just do as a collective that would give you an indication that they're not sick people. Now, my thing is, y'all, again, I am not here to make fun of them, because I actually love black women, because they still black. So I do love them. I have to love everybody, but of course I love them a little bit more because they black. But just because you love somebody don't mean you ignore the problems that they have going on. That's not what love is. Okay? Love is helping people with their problems. And, I've told y'all time and time again, we have two major subsections of black people. We have black men who are respectable, productive, functional. They believe in black men's leadership, our wives, and the children that live in our home. If you don't fit that description, you belong to the other subsection. You belong to a dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community. It's that simple at the end of the day. You're in one or the other. There is no, I'm gonna sit on the fence. There is no, I can't really decide. No, you're in one of the two. And guess what goes on in that dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community? It's a mental health care crisis going on over there. Okay? It's a mental health care crisis going on over there. You got a lot of sick black women. Okay? You got a lot of sick black women out here. All right, y'all? A lot of sick black women. And they display it all the time. Okay? And it ain't hard to find. It ain't hard to see. Okay? It just is what it is. And the thing is, us pretending that it ain't happening ain't helping nobody. Okay? Us pretending that it's not happening ain't helping anyone. All right? So what goes on with black women? Okay, now I'm talking about women. These are women who are 18 years old, okay, and older. Because it ain't like it's just young women. And some people try to blow it off as, oh, it's just youth. Now, it ain't got nothing to do with no youth. It has something to do with who they are as a people. Okay? Now, let's look at this, y'all. Let's look at this. Black women have a history of pursuing men that are no good for them, and then they complain about the very man that they pursued. Well, I'm not going to even say pursue. They try to get a man to quote unquote chase them. Sometimes they're going to pursue on the low. They're going to pursue on the low. I'll say that. But most of them want to look at it like the guy pursued them. Okay, I'm going to let them have that. For the sake of argument, we're going to let them have that. The guy pursued them, because it's more likely for the man to approach the woman than the woman to approach the man. So that's a real thing. So ain't no point in misconstruing stuff. So this is the thing. And see, women tell a lot of lies, and they act like it's the truth, and they try to convince other people that it's the truth. But let's be real about what actually goes on. We got a lot of women in the black community, and I'm talking about the overall black community. Every black person is FBA. Okay. Now this could also include some people who ain't FBA, because they've been hanging around the FBAs, but this is about every black person who's in FBA. What goes on with the majority of our women? Okay, our women complain about men that they took on. They wanted to be a part of his world. Now, let's think about this in real terms, not necessarily a relationship term. Let's think about this like a job, y'all. Let's say a job is available. You want to earn the money that comes along with that job. All right. So therefore, you take that job. All right. Now, nobody forced you to take that job. You took the job because you applied for the job. You made it past the interview. If there was an interview process, somehow you got in there. You did what you had to do to get in the job, right? You did your part to get in the job. Somehow you got through. Now you the person that works the job, right? Now, let's say it's a janitorial job. And I ain't got no problem with janitors, y'all. I'm not saying that. It's the only job I never pursued or never would pursue. I would do it if I needed to, but the only reason I don't want to do janitorial work because I know how nasty the public can be. That's the only reason. It's not because of what the job is or there's no lack of dignity that goes along with the job. People who think janitors are less than are idiots because nobody can do a good job at anything unless you have good janitorial services. How are you going to be a good doctor without a good janitor? Where are we going to do the surgery if ain't nobody going to clean nothing? So I do, and I'm just saying it because I know people try to belittle folks who do janitorial work, which is the foundation of business. You know, people don't think about it that way, but it is the foundation of business. What business you about to run and ain't nobody gonna clean nothing? Okay, what restaurant you finna own, ain't nobody gonna clean nothing? What healthcare facility you finna operate in if ain't nobody gonna clean nothing? Heck, what even hairdresser you gonna go to if ain't nobody gonna clean nothing? Okay, so what business can you run without people cleaning stuff? I'm pretty sure that's the one thing that's at every single worthwhile business. Now, if you try to do something under the table, maybe you ain't smart enough to have people clean stuff. And, you're going to deal with that at a time. But in every business, you got to have people that's cleaning stuff. So let's say you take a job as a janitor. All right. Now, you get a job as a janitor. Some people mess up the bathroom. Okay. You go into the bathroom. Oh, these people is nasty. Look at what they done did. They done put stuff all over the place. But you the janitor. You went to work. It's your job to get the bathroom clean. But you just decide, hey, I don't want to clean behind strangers. I don't want to remove human feces from off the walls or off the toilets. I don't want to mop up, piss and things. I don't want to do this type of stuff. But the thing is, you are the janitor. Now, you want the check that goes along with being a janitor, but you have this issue about, you have this issue that you just don't want to clean nothing. Come on, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. If you showed up to work, do the job. Now, Black women have a history. Okay, and it's widespread right now. You don't have to look in the history to do it. If you want to look at it in history, look 3 minutes ago. It's not hard to find. Okay, Black women have this thing about complaining about men that they choose to be with. Now, let's think about that for a second. They complain about men they choose to be with. Now, people say some things that ain't really a thing. People say, well, it's about law of attraction and things like that. You get who you are. Now, this is the thing, y'all. Men are attracted to women. So we see women, if she have a nice outfit on or what we think is good enough at the moment, we're going to talk to the woman. The woman only accepts the guy who she picks that wants to talk to her. So it's not like it's just a law of attraction where only a certain kind of man is going to talk to her. No, she can talk to all types of different men as long as they find her attractive. But the thing is, why does she go with the guy she's going to end up complaining about at the end of the day? Because that's the guy she likes. She talk about a nigga who won't get a job or won't keep a job. Some guy that's unstable. She complains about him. But the guy who had a job tried to holler at her too. Okay. The guy who goes to work on a regular basis hollered at her too. The guy who owns a company hollered at her too. Now that might be a thing where he's younger, just starting his business off the ground. You know what I'm saying? His business might be fully established yet. But think about it. These guys holler at women too. Anybody who owns a business that's doing a good amount of money, okay? Let's just say your business does half a million. Okay, they talk to people too. They talk to people. You know, and a lot of folks in the Black community in the year of 2025, they may be at the top, quote unquote, per se, but a lot of them didn't start at the top. So they talked to women on the way up. And there was plenty of women who could have been on the way up with them, but they just didn't see it as a thing to do. Okay. Now, what does this have to do with mental health? Yeah, there's a real world, and then there's the world that's in your mind. In the real world, you see certain things and you can notice patterns. You know, if you make bad moves, you're going to get bad outcomes. If you make good moves, you're going to get good outcomes. Now, Black women like pursuing Black men in a compromised position. Now, the thing is, they will pursue the men in a compromised position, or you could say they will accept the men that pursued them, but they accept a lot of men in a compromised position. I'm not talking about a man with potential. I'm talking about a man who's in a compromised position. He already got felonies. He already got multiple baby mamas. He already don't have a job the day she met him. Okay. Or maybe she was with him for a little bit and then, a month or two going on and then he done quit his job. Okay. But she ain't going nowhere because she like a compromised man. Now, Black women have shown a pattern that the majority of Black women, and we can easily say this now, the majority of Black women prefer Black men in a compromised position. If you don't believe me, check the marriage rates. Now, let's be realistic about this. This is not them being fooled by anybody. They live in a society. See, the thing about America is it's a little bit harder to hide stuff because you have different groups of people, and these different groups of people, you see how they do some things a little bit different than you. So guess what? You in America and you got all these other folk, and y'all know, well, y'all should know at this particular point, Black women pay a whole lot of attention to white men. And I've seen Black women literally say, well, if I date a white man, I want a real white man. Meaning I want a quote unquote nerdy guy. I want a guy who presents himself well. I want a guy who can speak English properly. I want a guy who has a 9-to-5. All the stuff they say they don't want in a Black man. If he come white, they cool with it. And they will justify it by saying, if I want a white man, I want the real thing. So if you are a Black man who is living a life where you show any sign of success in a Black woman's mind, you're not a real man. They've said this. Okay. But see, the thing is, we got to hear everything. If they tell you you're not a real man, if you have a 9-to-5 or you own a business or you trying to do something with your life, if you're trying to be a productive man, if they say you're not a real man, or a lot of them will say you ain't a real nigga, they don't think you're supposed to be as capable as white men. And if you present yourself to be a capable man, there's something has to be wrong with you if you happen to be Black, because a capable man is not for Black men, not in their opinion. Okay, being a capable, competent man is not a real Black man in their opinion. That's why they say things like that. And somebody may say, well, I ain't never heard a Black woman say that. Look at the marriage rates. You see it. Maybe you didn't hear it come out their mouth. Look at the marriage rates. Okay. So don't tell me it ain't being said when the average Black woman don't have a husband. Now, I'll put an interesting link in the description. Okay. It was an old lady saying a poem. Now, she is old by relationship standards. I'm not saying she's a senior or anything like that. She made a poem that you can tell a lot of people perceived as beautiful. Beautiful poem. A lot of people perceived it that way. Okay. In the poem, she was quote unquote getting on herself. She didn't realize it was herself in the beginning, but then she came to realize that it was herself. And she said some real stuff to herself. Let's not act like you ain't never wanted to be a wife. Let's not act like you ain't never wanted to be a mom. Okay? You've been out here all these years. Ain't nobody took you off the market yet. Okay? How old are you? I'm in my 40s. Okay, cool. But she says, no, I got a great life. My life is great anyway. Why? Because she wants to feel comfortable about where she is. And then she threw that thing a lot of people do. They say, it's about what God has for me. No, anybody who knows something about God, you have to know that everything God has for you, people don't necessarily receive on earth. There's a whole lot of stuff you don't get that God has for you. And if you don't know that, you don't know nothing about God. But she did throw that in there, if God has it for me, I'll get it. No, that ain't what the Bible say. I don't know what you've been reading. People miss all kinds of stuff. Okay, all kinds of stuff. But she wanted to wrap it up in a way where she still, quote unquote, feels good about herself, even though she just admitted to us that she's above 40 years old. She wanted to be a wife. She wanted to be a mother. She's achieved none of that. But she got to put it in a package where it sounds good. So people will clap and cheer her on and I guess give her some type of sympathy. Okay. She's looking for sympathy. Now I'm sitting there like you trying to present yourself as something great. Now it ain't my woman, so I ain't tripping. Ain't my woman, so I ain't tripping. So I'm seeing how you present yourself while you on stage. You say you're doing this as a career. You've been doing this 20 years. You're on stage. You don't have the answer to why you ain't got no husband. And you know what I did, y'all? I just simply noticed the clothes she had on. All right. Now I know when it comes to the clothes she had on, a lot of people may not take it as much. A lot of people may not mean that, the clothes she had on. Well, basically, she was showing her bra. Okay. That's basically what she was doing. She had a shirt on, bunch of holes so you can see the bra underneath. Now, some of y'all may say, well, that's a classy bra. Some of y'all might say, well, that's a bra that's made to be seen. It's not like a regular bra. Y'all know how long I've been telling girls, you never let your underwear show, because that's tacky. As a female, you don't wear any outfit where your underwear shows. That says you're a tacky person and you're not worth much. 9 times out of 10, a very, very strong 9 times out of 10, you are a hoe. And you are broadcasting to men around you that you are a hoe. Okay? Now, they do what they want with the information. But at least the ones I'm around can't say nobody told them. Now, my thing is, this woman's telling us she's been performing she said at least 20 years. She's been performing. This ain't her first rodeo. This ain't her first rodeo. Now, she got the glasses on. She got her hairstyle where, I guess if you would guess, what a woman like that, where she is mentally, if she didn't have that particular shirt on, you probably say she probably is a sophisticated woman. You probably say she looks like she's smart, you probably say, she looks like she has herself together. If those holes were simply not there, okay. Skirt she had on, obviously of kind of a fitting skirt, but not too out of control. A lot of brothers could rock with that. A lot of brothers could rock with that. Now, my thing is, you came up with that whole poem where you quote unquote got on yourself and everything, and you got this thing going on where you don't have a husband, you don't have children, but you clearly wanted them, and now you blame it on God, like, what, I'm gonna get what God has for me, even though that ain't what the Bible say. I'm assuming she talking about the God of the Bible. Okay, the Bible don't say that, so I don't know. So that's something she made up. Okay, or that's something she got from somebody else that don't know nothing about what the Bible say. Not saying I'm a Bible expert, but I definitely haven't been to church enough times to know what you get ain't necessarily what God got for you. I mean, that's something I learned a long time ago. You don't have to go to church that long to figure that part out. She don't know why she ain't got no husband, clearly. And she says this poem, and I do accept she's looking for some sympathy. And I'm sitting there thinking like, yeah, you ain't got no husband because you ain't smart enough to put on a shirt. All you got to do is dress appropriately. You don't even come off as a woman who's going to be, attacked or something, or people going to make fun of. If you just had a shirt on that actually covered your bra, I'm pretty sure a lot of men would give you a time of day and give you real consideration for a relationship. You ain't even smart enough to do that. Y'all, the fact that things like this go on, we don't say it. I'm not saying you're going to have a bunch of professionals diagnose it. But at the end of the day, if you can come to a conclusion that says Black women do not have a mental health care crisis going on, it's hard for me to see you as an intelligent person. And again, this is not for me to make fun of them. I ain't gonna let nobody come on the panel and quote unquote make fun of them. I mean, a little joke here, they're cool. But now this is a mental health care crisis. I'm gonna get into a lot more. But since my main man, Mr. Z, is here, I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. Mr. Z, you got it, my brother.
Thanks, Raj, and thank you for having me up in such short notice. You know, much of how I got to where I am, my position at work, regular streams, is because I had a hand up, to tell you the truth. And the person that got me in, they nagged me. There was a standard. They nagged me and they nagged me about getting promoted. And I went about doing that in a different way than they wanted me to do it, but I still got it done. And much of me wanting to go back to school, is because Papa Z, you could tell like that's the one thing that he wants to brag on. And it's a standard. And I just haven't given him that yet, right? Younger sister Z has, but not me. And it gnaws at me, right? There's a standard, right? I'm part of the Black Manosphere. I'm a content creator in the Black Manosphere, and like there's a standard, right? There's a conduct. There's advocating for Black men. There's being honest with yourself. There's a way that we would like to be portrayed. And sometimes I'm out and I'm like, yeah, you know what? What happens if I get into it with Buddy Roll over there, right? And like it gnaws at me. And there's a standard. There's a manhood standard. And when you fall beneath that, you know it, you feel it, you see it, right? And much of what I would argue, and by the way, I'm still on topic, that Black women are dealing with, obviously, is the myth of white womanhood. Shout out to BGS. But it's that they don't hold themselves to a standard. You were speaking about the young lady reading that poem, and or reciting that poem. And all I heard, by the way, I figured out early she was talking about herself, right? Like I figured out early. And when I read through the comments and when I listened to her, all I saw was another Black woman that said, you know what, if that's not working for me, then I'll just do something else. Well, if that's not working for me, I'll just do something else. And when she said, what I radically accept where I am, essentially, you've heard that from so many Black women that fail to make this relationship thing work with any man, not just with black men, but with any man. We were talking about what Tracy Ellis Ross a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago. Same thing. You see this with so many of them. The mental illness, I would argue, is coming from a mix of things. It's having no standards, just freestyling because you're not a white woman. It's from living in the same country, on the same planet, in the same solar system, in the same galaxy, in the same universe, in the same multiverse as white women, and not being them politically and socially, maybe phenotypically, and definitely not economically. And that mental health issue. I put a something in the comments. I wanted to read it. And it's the definition of postmodernism, and it speaks to something, right? And it says postmodernism is a broad intellectual and cultural movement that arose in the mid to late 20th century, challenging the assumptions of modernism and Western philosophy. It is characterized by skepticism towards towards grand narratives, objective truth, and universal values, emphasizing instead the role of language, interpretation, and perspective in shaping our understanding of reality. All I hear is all the standards, all the things you can't debate, I'm gonna debate them. Right? And like there's a place and time for that. And I do think the narrative of the folks that are on the wrong side of history, or at least right now are losing, are important. I mean, I'm a black man born and raised in America, so clearly, right? Those are important. But when you frame everything that way, how could you not have a mental illness, right? When you shirk off everything, right, and you have skepticism towards objective truth and universal values, how could you not have a mental illness? And all I heard that ladies do was put mental illness in a nice, pretty bow behind some spoken word. And shout out to her. And apparently she's a teacher. I was reading through the comments. One of the young ladies said that was her teacher. I think she said in middle school or high school. So shout out to her. But I want to emphasize that how could you not have a mental illness if you frame everything, if you're skeptic, if look, I appreciate and understand how Raj, your background or whoever's background is, I don't know. But I appreciate and understand, okay, white folks ruling, white hegemonic rule on planet Earth for how many centuries now, et cetera, and what that means for people of color, black people in specific. Okay, even black women. All right. What you don't do is then say, all right, I'm gonna shirk off everything. 1 + 1 don't equal 2 no more. It equals 8. It equals 7. Equals 15. Because they said it equals 2. I can't accept that. Like that's causes this mental illness. So if you had a standard for yourself, which is husband, children, right, a certain way of comporting yourself, and you find yourself in your 40s and you don't have that, you just go, quote unquote, radically accept that, well, then turn into Vivica A. Fox then, or Tracy Ellis Ross, or whoever the hell who's still out here pretending. Claudia Jordan, name them, right? For you to be, okay, for you to speak this way, for you to be some type of educated, what was the point of the education then? I want to emphasize it. I'm going to end out in a minute, Russ. Shout out to Black Uru. Black Uru had a conversation once, and it was the realest thing. And he said, what's the point of looking good if you're not going to have any children? What's the point of being attractive if you're not going to end up with another attractive person and have attractive children? And to this lady, I say, okay, I'm going straight off of this one time I've seen her on this, giving this poem or reciting this poem. What's the point of speaking that way? What's the point of you being educated? What's the point of all of that if you're not going to have children and pass that on? Because you radically accept that you can't make it work. You're 40 something. I'm presuming that all the eggs ain't gone yet. You might have 1 or 2 left, and you ain't going to do everything in your power to run towards that line because you radically accept your position. Now do y'all get why I read postmodernism? Once again, is characterized by skepticism towards grand narratives and objective truth. Grand narratives, the grand narrative of humanity. You couple up with another person, heterosexual, you couple up with the opposite sex, you have children, you raise those children to be productive members of society. In our case, in modern world, members or citizens of I guess America at this point, and of Black America, and to push the community, the society, the country forward. What's the point of you being here and presumably being educated and some type of talented if you just radically accept, the man thing may not work, the family thing may not happen, the children thing, and I'm just going to accept it. Man, mental illness. And I'll pause right there. Thank you, Rush.
Thank you for pausing, because I was going to say, brother, I let you go on for a minute because wasn't nobody up here. Some other folks came, you know. But I'm going to say well stated. And at the end of the day, y'all, the people who've been a while, because I know I done lost channel, but if y'all been watching me for a good amount of time, y'all heard me say time and time again that stupidity is a choice. I just see the young lady reading the poem. It's just proof that stupidity is a choice. She wasn't ugly. She wasn't fat. She's earning money doing something she likes to do. So she should be able to come across with a good attitude in life. Now, I can't tell you that's happening because she ain't got no husband. So I doubt that that's actually happening. But I think her major problem is she just don't know how to put on a proper shirt. I mean, real talk. I ain't saying the lady dumb and nothing. Like, Joe, you just can't put a proper shirt on? Because I think she going to get away with the skirt. Now, I know that's a tight-fitting skirt because I ain't slow. But I think she better get away with it with a lot of brothers that really shouldn't give her time of day because she wore that skirt. But dang, you just ain't smart enough to put you on stage. You ain't smart enough to put the proper shirt on so you can get the attention you want so you could have a husband. I'm telling y'all, stupidity is clearly a choice, and this is just more proof of it. But go ahead, Inspire Truth Broadcast. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Salute to you, Rod. Salute to the chat. Am I coming in well? Am I actually being able to, be heard?
You are
Check it
loud
out.
and clear, brother. You loud and clear.
Excellent, excellent. I only have like 2 minutes, so I'll go ahead, say my little opening statement and then kind of drop. Maybe I might be able to swing back in later. But I just kind of want to kind of highlight the point that a lot of times we don't actually understand why women do what they're doing. What the ladies end up doing doesn't seem to make sense, but then it actually makes sense when you think about who and what they are. So that same lady the same woman that might go and deal with Gloctavius, you'll later on see her with Basic Brad and ask yourself, what the heck happened? I thought you were into gangsters. But here's the thing about that. Sometimes it's not just about the gangster, but it's also about the gang. And what bigger gang is there than white supremacy? There is no bigger gang in America. That's the first thing. So now some of that kind of lends itself on over to this whole idea of autonomy and agency and all of that stuff. And in bygone eras, you actually had a male guardian or a male figure that actually could get involved in some of this mate selection process. And over the course of time, we had a lot of these emotional appeals and emotional hijacking of roles that previously would have gone to the respectable male that would have been able to lead and actually navigate some of these journeys, some of these processes that get us to where we actually need to be in life. And I think that's kind of where some of these things fell off. But that's what I had to say. Hope that makes sense.
Inspire Truth, before you go, I got to ask you a question. When you said autonomous, where's the limit for autonomy? Is there a cap to autonomy? When do you realize, maybe I need some guardrails. Clearly, I don't know how to bowl, or I'm not really good at bowling, or my bowling sucks. When do you need the guardrails? When you need a man. When does your education say, you know what? So I got this degree, and maybe I make a little money, but clearly, this autonomous thing,
So here's the thing about that. There's the phrasing. So kind of in some of the academic spaces and in some of the white spaces, it's framed as autonomy and agency. In the in the community that we're more familiar with, it's I want what I want. And that's the phrasing that we kind of end up getting. But to answer your question, the limit ends when you end up deleteriously affecting another person. There was this video, I guess you might have probably seen it. It's like up to like 1 million now. The Diary of a CEO video where it had like the 3 feminists on there. Where
Yeah, I
you
watched so
had
much of it. I watched pretty much
ah
all of it.
great, great. So like Luis, one of the things that Luis said in her response was something to the effect that you can have agency is a good thing to have, freedom is a good thing to have, but we also have this thing called society, and society needs to function, and we have to be able to actually make policies that work for us all. We also have to be able to constrain some of the activity, some of that negative liberty, because that's going to have a
You knew
negative
I was
effect
going
on
there.
other
I'm glad
people.
you beat me to it. You knew I was gonna go there.
I knew.
Because all I heard you saying was guardrails and guidelines and rules. That's all I heard you say. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean the lady Deborah, as soon as the mention of rules came up, she had immediate pushback on that. That she's like the idea of grown women having rules and they're grown and I don't like that, blah blah blah. And like, well, wait a minute though, like all societies have laws and we have these laws for reasons because we need the constraints on people so that we're not hurting other people. And a lot of our society has kind of really hammered on heavily on dealing with the um, base level biological behaviors of males, but we haven't actually even taken a look at the base level biological habits of females.
All right, now I'm
That's
gonna
how
just
you
say
end up with that term toxic masculinity, because you're like, okay, your base level biological activities might have some negative consequences to it, so therefore we're going to call it toxic, but then we don't do that on the other side of the fence.
Roger, I'm about to drop off too. Let me just say this one last thing to what Five Truth said, and
what
that would explain why you have a fairly okay looking 40-something-year-old educated black woman giving a poem about how herself is beating up on herself because she didn't go along with the river. She fought against the river and now she needs coke, and she's giving herself and other women like her coke. Go ahead. I'm done.
what
I'm pausing right there.
I'm gonna remind y'all to be careful about even on, you know what I'm saying, it not just straight out, but advertise for other people on my channel, because I don't rock with people like that. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't seen you over here, I ain't gonna advertise for you. Even when I put clips in, I don't even present clips as an advertiser like I endorse any of these people, because I don't. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful about that. Not a big deal, but I'm just reminding folks going forward. Now my thing is that woman, yeah, she's just proof that women are stupid. And stupid is a choice, because you can't tell me she can recite that poem, but she's unintelligent, which means her being in a stupid position of not being married and not having the kids that she wanted wasn't her choice. At the end of the day, even if you have a problem assessing men, you have access to other men that will help you. If you don't use what's available to you, how is that something but stupid? And you said, when does it go negative, with your autonomy? When you can't get the job done. How do you set out to get something done and then you can't get the job done, but it's not failure? So if she
Raj,
wants to
say that again. Say that again, Raj. My apologies. I'm sorry for that, because you just said something very important. How you set the rules for yourself and didn't get the job done, and then you don't see that as failure. You set the rules for yourself. These are the things you want. Oh my God. Go ahead, Raj. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I'm just saying that's complete failure. My thing is we shouldn't act like it ain't what it is. So at the end of the day, a lot of women of the black community who are a bunch of unmarried women at the end of the day complaining about the niggas they actually sleep with. How are you not off? You could have had a better life with somebody you didn't sleep with, but you complain about the guy you did sleep with. Sometimes it's complaining about what somebody didn't quote unquote do for the kids. Why are you talking about kids if you ain't sleep with the guy? So you slept with him. You saying somebody, I was with this guy for 5 years, but we never get married. It didn't work out. He wasted my youth. How he waste anything? You gave it to him because you wanted him to have it. He wasn't chasing you down. You was chasing him. Now I respect the fact that he might have approached you first in the beginning, But how does a man waste your youth when he don't own your body? I don't get that. If you got a key to lock the monsters out, and you lock yourself in a place with a monster, because they call these men monsters, where you lock yourself in the room with the monster. You locked yourself in the house with the monster. You locked yourself in the mansion with the monster. You locked yourself in the apartment with the monster. How is it the monster's fault that you get hurt? You identify them as the monster, but you keep locking yourself in there with them.
You sound like you're talking about a house of mirrors. That's what it sounds like, Raj. If you get what I just said.
No,
But
I
that
get you.
monster's fine though. That's what the deal is. The monster's fine.
But my thing is, ain't that what crazy people do? Now, I'm just saying, y'all, I'm a grown man. I tell folks all, I ain't gonna lose a fight to no dog. But that don't mean I want to go into a room with your Doberman picture. Why would I just voluntarily go into a room with your Doberman picture and he don't know me from nobody? I ain't gonna just walk in the room where, you know, we keep our Rottweiler in there. I ain't gonna just open the door and walk in the room with the Rottweiler. Now, the Rottweiler is not gonna beat me in a fight. But why would I lock myself in the room with the Rottweiler that don't know me? It don't make sense.
Because you're the rock roller in a house of mirrors. You locked yourself in a room with yourself in a house of mirrors. This is what I'm saying they're doing to themselves.
But see, the thing is, as a man, when I do it, you just gonna call me crazy.
Well, that's the problem there, is because you're a man, like you're not a woman. So like in the world of like women, we kind of like nerf the world for them. That's kind of like why we end up in the scenario where basically all men get blamed for the man that she chooses, is because we're supposed to nerf that world for her. and the entitlement of outcomes. Like you're also supposed to get like the outcome that you want, and the world owes you the outcome that you want. But that doesn't necessarily translate when you bring that into the mind of a man.
Don't that sound like a crazy person though? A crazy person shows up to a location and expect outcomes that they did not earn. And the outcomes are supposed to come at the hands of other people. Ain't that crazy, people?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, we've been kind of gathering resources for like generations. Like, this is just an extension on an ancient thing, but it just kind of went into high gear into another level kind of recently. I mean, I guess it's more of a technological development type of thing.
My thing is, people were crazy in ancient times too. People there was plenty of people who've been recorded as a crazy person even long ago. Crazy people show up places, expect to get something they didn't earn, and they expect other people to give it to them. That's a general thing about crazy people.
You know what they say?
It's not a general thing about crazy people.
That's true.
It sounded like you just described the whole entire XX chromosome to me. This ain't how you sound. Like you just described the entire opposite sex, not just some of them, not just the black and dark ones. You sound like you just described the entire opposite sex. Go ahead, Rose.
I'm not gonna go that far because my thing is I don't want people to take it as a joke or just throw it away. But when you look at how black women operate, they sound like crazy people.
Well, I mean,
I should get this job because I'm black and I'm a woman. Nothing else. We just saw it done at the presidential level.
Raj, let me say this again, Raj, if you don't mind. It is characterized by skepticism towards grand narratives, objective truth, and universal values. And it emphasizes instead the role of language, interpretation, and perspective in shaping our understanding of reality. Understanding of reality. I'll pause right there. Go ahead, yo.
Oh yeah, let me pick up on that reality bit there, because what is actually power? Like, power is the ability to shape one's reality, extend that out into the real world. And I guess if you've been doing some winning in the past like 30, 40-ish years, then you get kind of more power drunk and then more into the mindset where you believe that you can shape more and more and more of reality without actually having the goods to back it up. In other words, writing a check that you can't cash.
See, and my thing is, even that stuff's a little choppy for me because I look what people are saying, I look what people are doing, I look what they complain about, I see what people are talking about. I don't just look at content when I look for it. I examine the stuff that I see because I'm making a decision. Am I going to use this content or not? I see women begging. They swear they boss bees. I just say that they swear they boss bees, and they begging too. Okay, I knew black women beg just because I grew up and I lived around black people. Okay, I got on public transportation before I had a car, and I was on there with black people. Okay, women been begging. Okay, I'm not even just saying women that you're attached to, women that you don't even know they beg. Sometimes they tell you the truth for why they begging. Sometimes they don't tell you the truth for why they begging, but they've been begging. And I remember when I said this for the first time online, well, at least that I can remember, people act like I did something wrong because I point out the fact that women beg on a regular basis. But when you hear people saying what you need to do for me, so I'll do this, blah blah blah, I hear begging. I don't hear nobody saying you need to do this so I can actually reciprocate something towards you. No, I just hear somebody saying, well, you need to have X, Y, and Z already lined up together if you want me to just be around. That sounds like begging to me.
Well, here's the thing about that. Like, there's a difference between humble begging and arrogant begging. And a lot of what we see is some arrogant begging, like, you owe me this, you owe me that, the world owes me this, that, and the other. And ultimately, yeah, it's up to us to, like, if we actually want to acquiesce to it. But I want to see some more humble begging instead.
Well, you know
do
what?
think.
Let me say this real quick. Let me just say this real quick. You know what I call humble begging? Begging.
Well,
Begging. You know what I call arrogant begging? Begging.
Begging.
I just call it what it is. My thing is begging is begging. I've seen rich women beg. Okay, they begging too. And to me, it's like, what you said all this stuff about going to be this woman and blah blah this and blah blah that, and we independent. You down for all that stuff. You actually got to a position where you became rich, and you begging too.
well, here's the thing. I want to pick back up on your original idea of the, like, mentality side of it, like the craziness side of it. Well, I didn't want to say that word. The mental health side of it. Like, so there is the idea that you can, in actuality, be begging, but because of the perspective, because of the way that you're begging, you're actually fooling your own mind into believing that you're barking orders instead.
Yes.
If you fool your own mind, are you sane?
I will say there's something to go to what Inspired Truth is saying, and even though there's kind of a juxtaposition here, no, I continue to emphasize this point. I know people are tired. Goddamn, Z, how many times you gonna say this? They think we owe them because they not white. Like, I say it, and I know it annoys everybody. They think the black men owe them because we didn't make them white women.
Okay.
White men owe them too, and white women, but they can't do anything to white women and white men. So the only people they can take this anger out on is black men. Now, tying that to the mental health issue of it all, the arrogant begging, the sassy begging, shout out to Roger, it's all begging at the end of the day, he's right. The sassy begging, the arrogant begging, like Inspired Truth said, the barking off orders, but really you begging, your quote unquote standards, but really you begging, right? Your coping mechanisms, what you saw with this young lady, what you see with Tracy Ellis Ross, what you see with all these famous rich women, you see they've been single for decades, for years, no kids maybe. All of that is mental issues because you set a standard, or there's a standard set for you. You haven't risen to the standard, and so you're coping, right? And we can see the mental illness in how you cope with not rising to that standard. The basic go.
No, I'm saying I need to get this in. I need to get Champ Cop for life in. My thing is this: if you feel quote unquote entitled to something from men, and you have no attachment to them whatsoever, you don't have a family attachment because you're not related to me. You're not my friend. I don't know you personally. We don't hang out together. You don't get a communal thing because you don't have a husband that you can go through to access something of me through your husband. We have no actual thing that connects. If you entitled to anything from me, are you sane?
Rod, you touched on something there. That's what they try to pull on. Exactly what you said, the communal thing. They shirk off not having a husband. That's if you're noticing more and more recently, there's this idea of community now. And what community is, shout out to the brother Obsidian, is the idea of community unit now. Yeah, I don't really like you like that. I don't really like any of you like that, but you still owe me out of some community obligation. And I'll pause right there.
Even, and I'm familiar with Obsidian's ideal about the community unit. How does the community unit owe you anything if you're not part of the community? Wouldn't the unit do stuff for people that's in the community?
Yep, exactly.
So
Well, see, that's the scam, though.
community unit would help other men because they have a wife who needs something done. The unit would help their husbands get stuff done for their wives. That's what the unit would do because he's still part of the community.
Well, that's the scam, though. It's kind of like pretending that it's a community thing going on when there's actually not. Like a community is what you actually invest in along with other people. If they're not investing along with you, then they're not entitled to the goods and the bounty of the community.
Well, I'm just saying, even if you go if you want to go with a belief of people are community units, and I'm not saying this to disrespect what Obsidian was saying because I understand the context in which you said it, but the community unit would help the community. He's just a person who ain't found his yet, but he'd be helping the community. He wouldn't be helping random strange women because and women, I understand you may not like what I'm about to say, but any woman who's not married, you're just a strange woman. We don't know who you belong to. You're, like I've said in the past, you're up for grabs. We don't know you belong to anybody. Okay, if I don't know your husband, I don't know what community you belong to. I need to know who your husband is so I can know what community you belong to. Yes, because you could be black and belong to a different community. Because I don't know if your husband is black. You know?
Well, yeah, that's the actual truth beyond just the skin illusion. Like, hey, look, skin folk, like not necessarily kinfolk.
Now, of course, I got way more to say, but let me let Champ Car for Life get in here. He's been waiting patiently. Champ Car, you got the flow, brother.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Wednesday, brothers. Today I'm using and got brothers made some very good points, Mr. Z and Inspired Truth. Really good points right here. And I'm using Phyllis Hyman avatar today because she was a very attractive woman back in the late 70s and 80s, beautiful singer. And she had it all and everything else. She was married. She had the number one hit singles back in the 70s and 80s. Had a nice contract record with Arista record. But the one thing that was really hurting her was that she had a mental illness that, first of all, wrecked her marriage. She was married to a guy by the name of Larry Alexander, who was her manager and everything else. And she divorced him. And after that, if you listen to her songs before she passed away, she had a lot of songs that were full of depression and talking about how she made a mistake of divorcing her man and everything else, and how she didn't want to be single for a long time. And she ended up taking her own life 30 years ago, 2 days ago, because she couldn't bear, living by herself and everything else and just traveling and just doing all music and everything else. She was a broken woman. And today, when I listen to Tracy Ellis Ross, Vivica Fox, Claudia Jordan, and Melissa Ford, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can stay single and everything else, but eventually the wall is going to hit you. Wall is going to hit you and everything else. You could talk about, men being mean and inconsiderate towards black women, whether it's a white man or black man, because unfortunately a lot of black women want black men to be white men and everything else, because they're trying to been competing with white women for centuries. You can say all that type of stuff, but eventually the wall is going to hit you, and it's going to hit you really hard to the point that you're going to end up going crazy and everything else. You may think you're happy inside and all that. You can go up there and do all these selfies, get a BBL and all that type of stuff, but still, you still got, some issues that needs to be tackled and everything else. You don't want to end up like this beautiful woman that I'm having right here as an example. And Miss Phyllis Hyman, if you read her story, if you read her, if you watch the show about her on Unsung, I mean, it is full of hardships for her, and especially for her music. So I'll land my plane right there.
Let me ask you something, Champ Car for Life, if
Let me
you
say
don't mind.
real quick. Let me say
Yeah,
real
sure.
quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because I'm not
Go
very
for it.
familiar with the lady. I'm saying this as a person not very familiar with the lady. But you did say she got divorced. So that's what
Yes.
she get. if you already won and you chose to be a loser, you know what I'm saying, and mess your whole life up. I mean, ain't that what you get? That's called making bad decisions and living with the
Yeah.
repercussions of bad decisions. So I'm not saying that's what she get to make fun of her. I'm saying that's what she gets. You said she was married, she was set, she was good, and for some reason now she's not married, now she's struggling. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, I don't know, maybe not financially, because I know she must have been a famous woman, but if you're struggling with life as a whole, you know what I'm
She
saying?
struggled financially.
Well, then it's just even worse. But she was
Yeah.
married. It shouldn't have happened. At the end of the day, you had already won. And some people do work very hard to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Okay. But there's other people, you know what I'm saying? I mean, most people are trying to snatch a victory from being defeated. That's what most people are doing. But you got people who really want to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So that's what I meant to say. She sound like she snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And
She
if you
did.
make that
She
decision,
did.
I don't know how to help a person like that. You know, I just accept people are stupid.
And there are many,
And
and
I
there are
move
many
on.
women, and there are many women who are doing the exact same thing that she's doing right now.
Tia
And
Mari, anyone?
eventually, she what?
But I do. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. But my thing is I'm looking at the overall package of black women. And relationship, I'm only using to show how they're crazy, to show how they are mentally challenged. Because if you look at the things they're doing, if you put it in any other context, you look at the person doing that thing and you say they're crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you I mean anything you look at, look at how black women. I came across a black woman not too long ago. She was at work. I came into a facility to handle my business. She at work. Okay. I tell her I need this thing moved so I can get my job done. Black women say, well, can't you come tomorrow? I sit there and look at, I say, do you understand how asinine that question is?
Yeah. I mean, you got to get your job done. You got to get your job done right now.
Bro,
Not tomorrow.
I
Now.
came to make money and I'm here. Why would I do it tomorrow if I'm here now?
Yeah. Make no sense.
And the thing was, because it's inconvenient for her to do her job. This is the job you chose. I didn't
Exactly.
tell you to fill out this application. I didn't tell you to take no training course or whatever you needed to do to get to this job today. I ain't had nothing to do with that. So I'm in here to make my money. You got to move something out my way. It's your job to move it. Why are you talking to me with and saying extremely stupid stuff on top of the fact that you're just talking to me, period? You didn't need to talk to me. I didn't talk to you. I came in the facility. I talked to a boss. I said, hey, boss, this is what I need done so I can get my money and get on up out of here. Boss told you what to do. Why are you coming to me saying anything? Just do what your boss told you. But at the end of the day, a stupid woman gonna do that. And you know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. Now,
Yeah.
this is the thing. You educated enough to get that job. You filled out some application at some point to get that job. You went through some type of training to get that job. So why are you talking to me and I ain't got nothing to do with you?
Right.
I don't work for this facility. I'm here to make my own. I'm a whole different thing. I ain't got nothing to do with y'all and these people. Y'all just got some stuff in my way, and it's your job to move it. Just get the stuff moved. Don't talk to me. And I will say this. When I started talking to some other women who were black, they started to, I know certain people who work together and whatnot. They try to defend each other. I get all that. I'm telling them like, look, y'all, I ain't finna have no real conversation with y'all. I don't talk to people, man. If you don't do what you need to do, I talk to your boss. I don't talk to, and this is me, not me belittling people. Is you somebody told you to do your job? I didn't even tell you to do your job. I don't even work here. I don't even know y'all. I told a boss what I needed done so I can do what I need to do, get my money, get on up out of there. Your boss told you what to do. Don't come talking to me. You're not on that level with me. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant at all. You're literally asking me not to make my money. You don't ask me not to make money. Who is you to suggest anything to me where you're going to interfere with my money? You got to be crazy.
Yeah.
So you stupid. Because why you trying to get me not to do my job? This is how I get money. I'm in on my own business, on my own regard. It ain't got nothing to do with you. But you need to move some stuff so I can get down to what I'm getting paid to do. Because I ain't finna tell y'all. But I need y'all to move some stuff so I can get paid. And you going to tell me, no, brother, why don't you just not make no money today and worry about it later? Man, if it wasn't for social decency, I'd have slapped the mess out of her. Don't you ever talk about my money like that.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, Raj, we have an actress that passed a little while ago, and one of the last footages of her was her putting on the fakest smile ever. Y'all already know where I'm going. The fakest smile ever. And even in her loneliness and desperation, she put on a really good front. Compromise for who? For what? Everybody know I'm talking about Eartha Kitt. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Is that not mental illness? This is where we are. This is where the facade, the don't let them see you sweat, don't let them see you sweat into the grave is a mental illness. Raj, that story that you just recited just speaks to it. To tell someone, because you wouldn't have to explain to me. I know what Raj does, but you wouldn't have to explain to me how this works for me to appreciate how this works. Because anybody that ever you had to have the cable guy come out, you had to have your water main check, your water line check, or anything. You know how this works, right? Especially if it's from a private company or anything like that, you know how this works. Even if it's public sector, you know how it works. But definitely if it's private sector, you know how this works. And so to ask you the question of can't you come back tomorrow just speaks to something, right? And that's what we have. We have people that have just been in their bubbles, in their own minds. They're regurgitating the same weirdo stuff to each other over and over again. They're watching things. I've said this before. I think I need to bring this back. They're curating their own realities. Talking about being insane. They're curating their own realities with social media and the internet. So they're regurgitating the same thing to themselves. They're watching people tell them the same thing. And all you're doing is causing yourself to go further into insanity. Right? Train tracks. But yeah, further and further into insanity. And that's all I heard you say when you told me it was one woman that didn't want to listen to her boss, and it was other women trying to back her up and trying to get you to understand. That's that once again in their bubbles. That's what I heard. Go ahead.
They
Right
came off.
That's what I heard
came
too. And it's also being passed around by their own little cliques, that they like to talk to, through social media, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. That's where they get their that's what they get their cues from.
Well, my thing is they just made themselves look like idiots to me, man. Like I told a couple, I said, do y'all know I'm not your friend? I don't know you. I don't care nothing about you. I'm here about some money. Don't get in my way. I don't care nothing about you. I'm here for money and money only. Why are we talking to me? Don't talk to me. I'm saying this because people trying to protect who the boss is. Because I don't talk to the people, man. I'm just talking to a boss at the end. Now, if your boss cool with you not doing your job, that's your business at the end of the day. That's their thing. I ain't worried about it. But don't expect me to start arguing with somebody or talking to some employee because I'm supposed to care about your position. I don't care nothing about why you here. I just know you at work. I talked to the person in charge so I could tell them what needed to be done. They had something in the way. It had to be moved. I'm not moving it. Okay? I'm not taking on extra liabilities about squat. So I tell the person in charge what to do. Your boss done talk to you already. Do what your boss tell you to do. Don't come to me talking to me about anything. You ain't paying me. I'm not here for you. I don't care nothing about you. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just saying in the reality way. I didn't show up for you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to regard you. Real talk. I'm only going to talk to whoever is employing you or whoever's your supervisor. Something. Don't expect me to have a real conversation with you because I'm not here for you. Real talk. It just is what it is, y'all. And to me, that's part of what you got to do as a Rufus nice guy. Sometimes you just got to show people what time it is. If I come to a facility and you at work and you don't know you're supposed to be working at your facility, you need somebody to talk to you about what time it is. And since you ain't paying me, I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to somebody who pays you.
You know, brother, sometimes, we do have to have ladies in the workforce and everything else, but there are times that you shouldn't because of this. Because whenever they behave like that, telling you, why don't you come back the next day? I mean, if I was in that situation, I'm like, woman, what you talking about? I gotta get this job done right now. I gotta get paid.
I don't want it to go personal. My thing is, where's your sense of reality?
Yeah.
You are at a facility that paid you to be there. As some employee to do whatever you do. Your boss came to you and told you what you needed to do. Why are you talking to me? You see what I'm saying? It's insane to even have a thought to talk to me.
Right.
To me, that sounds crazy. Why are you talking to me at all? We don't have nothing to talk about.
Right.
I don't know you. I don't know your name. I don't even care about what your name is. Don't talk to me. My thing is, but this is the type of stuff that goes on, and we not calling black women crazy. That's a mental illness to be at your job and don't want to do your job, and you talk to somebody that don't even work there trying to get out of doing your job. Like I'm not there to make money.
Yeah,
that's mental illness if you ask me. That concept is just entirely asinine if you ask me.
Yeah, it really is. They're just basically what she's saying is that I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be working here and everything else. So that's why I don't want to put on the extra work and everything else. And that's why a lot of ladies, get fired from the jobs.
Some lady who was trying to protect her, and I get it, coworkers try to protect you. I get all that because I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to find the person in charge at this point. Some lady like, oh man, you don't know what's going on, blah blah blah. I said, I ain't trying to hit no excuses. If you at work, why ain't you working? And she had a stunned look on my face because I said, if you at work, why you ain't working? Like that's not what you came to work for. So my thing is, that's a crazy person.
Yeah.
Crazy people go to work to not work. Now, I understand there's people that have had jobs before that's been real lazy, but you crazy to go to work expecting not to work. That's crazy. Okay, that's not sane. You're not in touch with reality. And then if you're going to try to like be there's people at jobs who do slick stuff here and there and they try to get out of stuff. Why are you talking to a person that don't even work for the company you work for? Like I'm going to protect you for I don't even know you. Why are you expecting me to protect you? That don't even. There's some sanity that just ain't there. It just don't make sense at the end of the day. Now y'all gonna say, well, she might just did it because you're a black man, which could be true, but there's still no sanity to that. If I'm talking to the people who tell you what to do, why would you ask me not to do what I came to do? It just don't make sense. And you think I'm gonna protect you, and then the people's trying to cover for it, they talking to me like I'm supposed to be trying to protect you. I said, I don't care nothing about her. I don't care nothing about y'all. I'm just trying to get to the supervisor. Whoever's running this joint. That's all I'm trying to get to. I don't care nothing about y'all. Y'all ain't my sisters. Y'all ain't my friends.
I'm just, you were just there to do your job and everything else, and she should have been respectful, but she wasn't, and everything else.
My thing is, also anybody who's trying to protect her, when I'm trying to find, like who the head person there, if you're trying to protect her, you just presented yourself as an enemy to me. And we talking about money.
Yeah.
I don't let people just play with my money. You know what I'm saying? So don't be in between me and my money and expect us to be cool. That just don't even make sense. That's what I'm saying. There's a level of sanity that just missing. You know,
Right.
it's just that's not a sane thought to tell some stranger who don't work for the company you work for that why don't you just come back tomorrow? Like I'm going to agree to something that's stupid.
Yeah, that really that doesn't make sense right there. Why don't you come in tomorrow and everything else
Yeah.
instead of? I
So
mean,
I'm saying there's a lot of stupidity and a lot of stuff that's insane when you look at how black women move around in relationships. Because I'm not saying that ain't true, and we definitely gonna highlight that. But I'm saying they're generally crazy. They do a lot of stuff that ain't got nothing to do with a relationship. You know,
yeah,
getting out of pocket at a register. You go to the grocery store and a person get out of pocket with you at the register. You
and
putting your job in jeopardy getting out of pocket.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
look how sometimes they act, in restaurants and everything else, McDonald's, Burger King. They get all upset because they got the wrong order and everything else, and they're going around the cash register just going crazy like that.
well, see, my thing is that when you work with the pocket, of course you're gonna come across some people that's gonna get out of pocket. I'm not finna sit here and tell you that when I did stuff like that, I would just let anybody talk to me crazy. I ain't gonna even tell that lie. But I'm at a point I risk the job. You see what I'm saying? But I understand it's a risk of a job. If it goes south and I get fired, I ain't looking at nobody crazy trying to figure out why y'all fired me. I ain't arguing with people. Man, you hit a customer. I'm not gonna look at you and be wondering why you fired me. If I hit the customer, I know my job on the line. So I'm just gonna make the hit count. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure when I'm done whooping this person, it was worth my job. But I
Right.
know I gotta go get a new job at that point. It's not a mystery. I don't have an expectation that you're just gonna be able to talk through this and everything gonna be okay. I don't have that expectation. If I'm working for you and I hit somebody, I understand my job is on the line, and it's a good chance I ain't gonna keep it. When you come to a black woman, they think they can do anything and just don't expect no retribution whatsoever. Like it's gonna be fine. No, it's not necessarily gonna be fine. You might get lucky, but it ain't gonna necessarily be fine.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Now I'm gonna say too, I did use this picture of this. Y'all know this is one of those pop the balloon shows. Okay,
yeah.
and these things have been copied over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? So plenty of content creators using this concept because it's working for them. I ain't mad at them. It's working for them. They get their money on. Now, why would I use this? Because I've never sat down and watched any of those shows like straight through. Because I just don't want to at the end of the day. But I do see a lot of clips of them, and I've watched some clips. Now I ain't gonna say I don't zip through stuff here and there, but I've sat through some clips of some of this stuff. Women come on these pop balloon shows, and it appears the main goal is to insult men.
Yes.
Okay, like that's the number one priority: insult the man.
Basically,
Now,
I feel that they're there just to shame men on purpose. That's their main objective: to shame men, particularly black men, to shame them on purpose and everything else. And then, I mean, one day, one of these pop balloon shows are going to end up having a white guy in there, and guess what? They're going to be out there kissing his feet and everything else.
I mean, I'm sure that's gonna happen.
It
But
is.
but this is the thing though. The main priority, from what I can tell, is for the average woman that come on the show is to insult men. Now it's also to show that you coming on because you ain't got no man.
Yeah.
You already failed. A lot of them women, because I thought at first it was like younger people, because I said at first time I saw anything like a pop the balloon show, because there's been a couple different versions and stuff that I've seen by different content creators. The issue is you ain't got no man. You on the show to get a man. But think about how black women think about this. I'm going on a show where somebody made some effort to be here, and I'm gonna see if I can get a man. But while I'm trying to get a man, what I want to do is show the world how much I can disrespect a man in general. Now, why would you go on the show to get a man and then try to snap a joke or make an insult every single time you get a chance because you don't necessarily like the person that's in front of you? Or what I've seen a lot of women do, just to go along with the crowd. One woman don't like the man. Now, no woman likes the man. but you all showed up to get a man. You're stupid at some point.
Yes.
I'm going to insult the very people I came to get.
And they do that, they do it for clicks and everything else, not thinking right and everything else. They're not even thinking about themselves. They're thinking, as a group and everything else when they do this type of stuff, going on Pop the Balloon and everything else, talking about I need a man and all that type of stuff. But then by the time he gets there, you insult them publicly and everything else. I didn't like the way how you talked to that woman like that.
Well, this is the thing. It's not sane to go on a show to possibly get a man, because you ain't necessarily guaranteed to get one, to possibly get a man. But every time you get a moment, because some guy was out there that you personally didn't like, or you noticed that other women didn't like him, that you take an opportunity to insult that guy. That's not a sane behavior. Now, black women constantly doing it, because every time I see one of these clips or something, it's in there. Every time you have women, you know what I'm saying, like in this particular situation where the women are holding the balloons, I see them going out their way to just insult men. And I be like, didn't y'all go to the show to get a man? Some of y'all was dumb enough to get on the plane and do it. Well, I ain't gonna say dumb enough, because it depends on what people are doing in their life.
No,
But
some of them
generally,
are
when it's a
dumb enough
woman,
to do that.
well, no, I'm saying every blue moon you might have somebody who's doing some intelligent stuff, and they didn't get on the plane for a dumb reason. I don't think that's the majority of the women, though. I'm just gonna say that. I think most of them just doing some dumb stuff. You get on a plane, you pay what, a couple $100, maybe $300 for a ticket or so. And then you end up getting there, whatever the case is, and then you start insulting the men that you showed up for. Like, it's extreme. It's not a sane behavior. Is my point. It's not a sane behavior. Okay, if I go to a party with the object of taking home a woman, what I'm not going to do is go to that party and immediately start insulting women, because that's not my number one goal. My goal is to take home a woman. Now I'm not saying insulting black women wouldn't work, because a lot of black women are very backwards thinkers. But that's not gonna be the goal of me getting to the parties, to let everybody know how great I am in insulting people. No, the goal is for me to get a woman. So I'm gonna act in a way that women should kind of be pleasurable to them, and kind of let them know, you know what I'm saying, you got a shot with me. But I ain't going there to insult you if I'm trying to take you home. That's not gonna be my main focus. But we got another guest up here. So, matter of fact, let me go ahead and just turn it over to him real quick. Dirty D-Rod, you have the floor.
Salute to you, Roger. Salute to you, to the panels, to guests on the panel. Shout out to the chat, and shout out to all the Pookies and Ray Rays and Peanuts that should be on that show that are not. So if your mama named you Peanut, you can definitely go there, because the amount of trim you can get on the low is phenomenal. Shout out to Future. So I want to make 2 quick comments. So first of all, to the link in the chat where the people were cheering, they totally missed the point of the lady. Right? When the woman said I'm you, and she was saying you ain't married, you ain't got kids, you ain't got friends, right? That was God in angel form telling her that you messed up, and the audience just clapped. And there's a word she used that I'm gonna definitely use from now on: toxic positivity. You see, Roger, toxic positivity is what makes women like the one on your screens repugnant. Toxic positivity makes the women on your screen belligerent and unbearable. Toxic positivity is what made their mothers not love them enough to have a father. And because of that, the men on the show that go there, aka the Black Woman is God Negroes, gets constantly disrespected and get castrated and neutered for the whole world to see. And what does Netflix do? They say thank you, Tethers, because she's not even American. This is not, now we're going, what I'm about to say next has nothing to do with the Roger Report, right? But we got to get raw for a second. So thank you, Tethers, for again saying the things that white people want to say about black people that we can't. They do it with Pop the Balloon. They do it with World Star. And on top of that,
Media takeout too.
And thank you. And you see how she looks and she's married and she got kids, right? And when the lady, and you know what, y'all love her so much, right? But why does she always let the women berate the men like that? Because at the end of the day, that is how she feels about her husband. I'll pass the mic on that.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Now, my thing is, I know that Pop the Balloon stuff got popular, but there's a lot of content creators who use that. So I just use it as because it's about the concept of it to me. But when I see these shows, the women are normally doing the best they can to insult the men. And my thing is like, whoever is hosting the show, if I was interested as a man to go on the show, they would make me not want to go because I keep seeing all the clips that I run into is always, but I ain't gonna say always, but generally, probably 99% of the time, it's about women being able to insult some guy.
But Roger, see, but the thing about it is the difference is this. When you look at Pop the Balloon New York, Pop the Balloon New Jersey, stuff like that, you know they ghetto. The host has a dog in a baby pouch asking women. I mean, what do you expect from that?
Well,
Nigga got a dog in a baby pouch asking women questions. You know that. These guys say that we are Christian and we believe in love and we want to bring marriage. And that's the problem, right? Because they're being deceptive.
What I'm saying is every single version of it I've seen is women trying to insult men. Because I've seen some men hosted, some tall guy hosted, I've seen some short guys host. Like I don't know none of these people's names at the end of the day, but I've seen a lot of people use this Pop the Balloon concept.
But the problem is that they don't come under false pretenses. Everybody do Pop the Balloon, and this is your time to just disrespect one another, right? Go at it, go ham on each other.
Yeah, and act like a jackass too.
But these guys always are definitely heavily leaning to the women, right? This humiliation ritual to black men is the worst on her channel. It's the worst.
I'm not gonna argue that because I don't watch them enough to know. So it makes sense to me. I believe you. But what I'm saying is, as far as the black women who go on the shows, because what I've consistently seen is men being insulted. So even if I was a guy who wanted to go on the show, I'd be like, nah, I ain't gonna do that because all they want to do is insult people. Like I'm not gonna fly to some city so I can go on the show just so people can be negative toward me. I'm not wasting my money to do that. So my thing is that's insane behavior from black women. And a lot of them I found out was like older people. When I saw it was younger people, I was like, oh Lord, these young people they ain't got no respect for nobody, whatever case is. Then I started seeing all this stuff, and it was people 30 and above. Like it's old 30 and above doing the same thing that I saw 22-year-olds doing. Like, what's wrong with you?
You got this one dude, he does senior. They're 60 walling out.
My bad. I probably broke up. I didn't hear what you said. They wasn't wilding out.
You got one that's popular senior, where everybody's like 50 and up, doing the same stuff.
My thing is, it is not sane to try to prove to the world how much you can insult a man if you still single and need to get a man. if you showed up to get a man, this is not intelligent behavior. So that's what I'm saying. Black women do stuff that's just plain old crazy at the end of the day. Now, for the most part, nobody says nothing about the fact that black women are not mentally healthy. And I'm saying that the large majority of black women are not mentally healthy.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
And anybody who thinking it's not a joke, and I'm not saying it as an insult, I'm saying that's what we see when we go through life. I just talked about some women I came across personally. You got all these women who go on these shows where they popping balloons and just steady throwing insults out there where they supposed to be trying to get a man. A lot of people already know about black women in customer service. You at work specifically doing a bad job for no legitimate reason, but you want to keep a job. That's not intelligent behavior. That don't say sane. That doesn't say sane.
Well, thank God for AI.
You don't show out in a negative way to expect positive results. Sane people don't do that.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, right? Shame them into submission, shame them into acting right? Because they look at how their mom treat their little brother, and that's think so. Okay, that's how you're gonna handle a man. You shame them and yell and belittle him until they act right, not knowing that that's insane. Everybody knows you get more flies with honey than vinegar,
and basically insult the person, to the point that you try to break him down mentally and everything else.
Yeah,
that's the whole objective and everything else.
And then when you decide not to go through the humiliation ritual and you marry someone from another race, then they have the audacity to say you're weak.
Yeah.
And this is my thing too. You have women who they go on social media and they post all kinds of stuff about where they at and what they got. Now, generally, some dude done bought it for them or done took them somewhere. But you posting it, but you don't post the man.
Yeah.
Do you think if I recognize you, I don't know what you're doing? Like this it's insane to think that you're supposed to create a big name for yourself. Because let's keep it real. Most of the people on social, well, I ain't gonna even say most, because there might be some people who don't really do nothing too active. But a lot of folks on social media be trying to build an audience. Why would you try to build an audience showing me what some other man did for you, which is only gonna make me assume that other man was dicking you down? And I'm not so stupid that I'm gonna assume the picture you post one week somehow is connected to the same man that you posted the picture of the other week or the other month. These ain't necessarily the same men.
Well, Roger, let me ask you a question. Have you ever took a picture of a sneaker or picture of the food?
To post on social media? No, I've never done that.
Okay, well, have you ever took a picture of something? And if yes, what did it? What was it?
Yeah, I took a picture of something. Yeah, I remember taking a picture. Somebody asked for me to see some shoes I bought. I took a picture and sent it to them.
Cool. Now, do people take a picture of the ATM when they got the money out to go pay for the shoes? No.
No. I see where you go.
No, that's why that nigga is not in there. People don't take pictures of ATMs.
I totally get what you're saying, but my thing is, if I'm doing stuff where men are hooking me up, the last thing I'm gonna do is try to promote the fact it's a bunch of dudes hooking me up, because I don't know this is the same dude. I don't know that you didn't come across a group of men and you're their hoe, because you could be one man's hoe, but you might be their hoe. You might have met 6-7 guys together and just decided to be their hoe. So one week you with James, the next week you with Tony, the next week you with Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what's going on. So if you show me a bunch of stuff that you didn't do for yourself, you're really just telling me about all the dicks you had in an indirect way. And I don't think you're supposed to, especially as a woman, you just don't tell everybody how many dicks you had if you're trying to actually get picked up at some point in time to be somebody's wife. That don't even make sense to me.
Definitely doesn't. Yeah, but women don't they don't understand, right? They just don't understand. And again, it's that toxic positivity.
Well, my thing is, I'm never gonna say they don't understand. They just choose to be stupid. I don't think there's a lack of understanding. I think they just choose to be
No,
stupid.
I really think they don't
Or they try to
comprehend.
play stupid and dumb at the same time. They try to do that, claiming that they don't have directions and all that, which really they do and all that.
No, but my point is this: like when they sit up here, I'm like, yeah, I've dated multiple guys. I dated this, dated that. Like they don't understand how it sounds to a man. They really don't. They really don't.
And my thing is,
Yeah.
if they really don't, then I have to really say they are stupid because they should know how to
Yeah,
sound
they
stupid.
should know absolutely.
You know?
But you gotta understand, they our women grew up in a single parent household. They do not know communication skills with the opposite sex. They don't have that training, right? If you go to like Asian women have that training because they see how their mom interact with their fathers. They see how women interact with the men. Our black females do not have that training, so they really do not know. So if you want to call them stupid for that, okay, that's fine. But they really do not know.
If your mama a loser, you should at
You're
least
gonna
know
be a
how to
loser.
avoid being a loser. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
saying you should at least know how to avoid being a loser, because just don't be like your mama.
yeah, but you know, but it doesn't work like that, really, right? Like greatness breeds greatness, right? And losers breed losers.
Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying the fact that you got an actual loser in the house with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be. I'm not gonna say that's gonna be enough information to get you right, but it should give you a good idea of a bunch of stuff to avoid. You know,
Like for example, right? Kobe Bryant's father, fantastic man, right? Made to the NBA. What did he do? He trained his son to also get to the NBA and be even better, right? Winners breed winners, right? Dolores Jordan, right? She got touched by Pookie, right? But she had the foresight to say, "Oh, this Pookie can't raise my kid. Let me go find Mr. Jordan." And you know what I mean? Then Mr. Jordan bred him up.
that's why your
Same thing
superstar
with Shaq.
dead. That's why your superstar.
That's why that same thing with Shaq, right? Shaq real dad was a loser. So she went and found a military man to breed a winner. Or to raise a winner.
Oh, you mess. You're a horrible person.
I'm not a horrible person, man. This is life. This is life.
Shout out to Gregory Scotland, man. He say, "Hey, Roger, this particular episode show on the pop balloon that as a collective, black women have an inferiority complex. They mention other women even when they're not involved. I'm just gonna say that sounds right to me. I'm pretty sure they admitted it in other episodes. Just people probably don't pay attention to it. Did I watch this particular episode? No, because I'm just not interested. And that's just real talk, y'all. I will watch stuff for research purposes, but I ain't interested in it because these women be on there and they be clowns, man. Real talk.
Yeah.
Now I can say even in this particular episode, did someone put on some outfits that make some level of sense? Somewhat. You know what I'm saying? To stand out, your legs probably should be covered. You know, you see the one lady at the end on the right side of my screen, she got pants on. To me, not the best selection. You should have had a long dress on. Like these two in the middle, the length of the dresses was much better. Now I say the first two from my left side, then you got these other two on the right side with these really short dresses on. I understand why you think that's cute, but if I'm in a competition to meet a man, I need to give myself an edge. I don't want to wear my miniskirt that day. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to stick out. I mean,
that some of these ladies are dressing up damn near almost prostitution and everything else. They really.
I'm not disagreeing with them, but I'm saying if I'm going on a show like that to attract men, that would be the time I want to look a little bit different. That's all I'm saying. You know, because I don't think it's sane to try to fit in as a woman with other women when you literally go in there so a man will pick you instead of somebody else.
Right.
I'm not gonna dress like a skank that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I
But
dress
I
like
mean,
a
that's
skank
why I
all the
don't.
other days of the week, but on that day, I'm gonna try to make sure I'm right.
But this is why I don't like shows like Pop the Balloons and all that type of stuff because these ladies just go in there and try to shame, insult men, primarily black men, and everything else, and they get clicks out of it and everything else, and they think they're impressing white folks for doing that and everything else, but they're really not.
What
Because what you're
this
basically you're doing is that they're basically telling the world that hey, too, guess what? I'm not eligible to be I'm not marriage eligible as well because I'm toxic. I'm hyper masculine. I'm
no,
mouthy.
there's nothing masculine about these women. Y'all got to stop with that. There ain't nothing masculine about these women.
Yeah, they try to.
No. The thing is, they're just dysfunctional people. Dysfunctional does
Yeah,
not mean masculine.
yeah. I mean, they try to, but they're really dysfunctional, out
But
of control
but
women.
but I'm making an issue of masculine don't mean dysfunctional. And
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
y'all are saying when y'all say stuff like that. I get where it came from. Y'all need to drop that immediately. Just because you not feminine don't automatically make you masculine.
That's
Which I'm
true.
actually gonna do a whole show about. But
That's true. It
at
makes
the
you.
end at
Yeah.
the end of the day, now I ain't seen no episode with these women on it, so I don't know nothing about them on no personal level. I'm just saying if I'm going to a show to present myself, if I was gonna present myself in front of a bunch of women, I'm not gonna just put anything on that given day. I'm gonna try to make sure I'm definitely looking as nice as possible. It just is what it is. I want to look a little different than everybody else, but I don't want to look outrageous because I'm not looking for a woman who would pick an outrageous looking guy. So it just is what it is. But my thing is, it's the women who goes on them shows and what women are doing in everyday lives. You're not doing something that's sane. You're going on a show to insult men, but you're trying to get a man. And then a lot of them is past 30 years old, I done found out. How you that old and you still trying to insult men? You have literally lost in life. Why are you trying to insult anybody right now? Like, y'all put like this. Let me say this real quick. Y'all know I've gotten jobs I ain't been qualified for. And you know what I did? I went in there being extra nice. Cause I don't have what it takes to get this job, but I'm trying to be so cool with you. You got to hire me just to keep me around. And it has worked. Now I did have to learn some stuff and get myself qualified, but I didn't get a job just off the strength. They just want me there. So if you're not prepared, you're supposed to be as nice as possible. And if you're 30 years old and you're going on some show trying to get a man, you need to accept you've already lost in life and it's time to change. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said was right on the money, and I just wanted to highlight stuff because at the end of the day, we had this conversation before. What should you demand from your woman? It can be whatever, but you should be demanding of a woman, and that's another thing that this shows kind of expose or highlights, depending on who you are, right? I mean, the last time I checked, women are the beauty and shopping and all that. If my shoes ain't clean or my pants ain't completely ironed, back in the day, all they used to say, okay, you don't got a good woman yet. Like, come on, let me get you right. Nowadays,
Women used to take that as an opportunity. Let me snatch this dude up because I see
yeah.
he ain't got no woman ironing his shirts right.
But he ain't got no good woman, but he got a good job. He all the things I'm looking for, but he ain't iron right. So you know what I mean? That's where you come in at, or his shoes is scuffed up, right? Women are supposed to dress their men. Women are supposed to take care of their man's diet. Women are supposed to be thinner than men, right? Because back in the day, the hospital was your kitchen. And when a woman says that, oh, this man is too big, and she's looking, she is looking for things that attract her as a man, and she's giving you things that men are not attracted to. What she's asking for you, gentlemen, is to put you in a mental homosexual relationship. I'm the one that's supposed to say I got the degrees from Harvard. I'm the one that's supposed to say I started my business. You're the one that should be like, oh, Bigums, let me cook for you. You lose 30, 60 pounds in a week. You're the one that says, oh, this nigga's shoes are scuffed. That's my opportunity to get them.
What I mean, a lot of that does show how backwards women's thinking is, because you when you're young, you possibly went to college, maybe you didn't, maybe you did. You possibly got a degree, maybe you did, maybe you did, and then you start as a business. But you sit there and talk about, I need a man who making more than me, and you spend your whole life trying to out earn men.
Make that make sense. Make that make sense.
You know, that sounds insane.
Mm-hmm.
If I want somebody who out earns me, the last thing I'm doing is every chance I get, I'm trying to make sure I make more than him, which black women spend a lot of their time doing. Now, I'm not saying black men compete with black women, because we don't. But black women show competing with us, because if you just listen to what they talking about and listen to the stuff that they point out, they always saying something about how they outdid some black men, which means what? They're in competition.
Yeah. And ladies, that is not attractive. Right? Hearing about because when you tell me you have a business, what I hear, you ain't got time for me. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not intimidated about the money and stuff like that. None of that, because cool, you can make more money than me, because all that means I'm using your money at the strip club. Right? That's all you telling me, baby. Because you're telling me you ain't got time for me. So I'm gonna be like, Stat, man, we're gonna Oprah this thing. We're gonna pay for my side chick.
Now, I will say, from a legitimate standpoint, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna happen with most men who actually think about it. Why do you have a business and you don't have a husband?
Exactly.
That don't even make sense to me. Where are you supposed to get the husband from if you're running the business? If you spend all this extra time running the business, especially when you're not already rich. If your daddy ain't dropped $1 million on you and you done borrowed some money from some bank or something, and you got to pay that money back, which means you got to make this thing work, and you ain't got no husband, how you supposed to get one?
And then on top of that, you want kids, and now you got to argue and debate with her about when time to have kids. What man wants that?
And my thing is that sane behavior? Is it sane to try to start your own business as a young woman who's 25 or less, try to make that business successful, especially when you start borrowing money to get the business off the ground, which means you got to be successful enough to get this money paid back because you're on the hook for it, but you say you want a husband.
No, you don't want a husband. You do not want a husband or kids if you start a business. You do not want that.
Yeah.
If you're single.
Now, am I saying women can't start businesses? No. But there's a time and place for everything, ain't it? How you gonna be a good wife if you already got a business and you don't even know if your husband is interested in that particular industry?
No, I disagree, Roger. If you're starting a business as a single woman, you are absolutely saying, non-verbally, you're absolutely saying you do not want to get married or have
No, but that's not what I said. I said I'm not saying women can't start businesses, because you could start a business, but you probably should be doing it with your husband.
With single women, single women who don't want, single women who do want to get married should not start businesses. Single women who want to get married but want a business need to become married first and start a business as a married woman after kids. But single women who want to be married cannot start businesses.
No, it don't make sense. It don't make sense.
You can't, right? Now, single women who don't want to get married and start businesses, knock yourself out.
Well, my thing is, you don't get to complain about it later on down the road, talking about I changed my mind. I'm 36 years old and I ain't got no husband, but I got this business that's, we making some bread. I got a business that pulls in. I ain't even saying it's got to be a big. Maybe you got a business and you're pulling in 200,000 a year gross. Maybe you're pulling in 200,000 a year. Maybe it ain't all that big, but if you're making that type of money per year, even gross, why are you confused about why you ain't got no husband? Your priority is somewhere else. It's not on the man. Now there are women who say, "Well, men ain't got to be my priority." It's okay for you to live in a society and never expect anything from us. But if you're going to expect something from us, then why'd you do it?
Yeah. Can you do me a favor, Roger? Terrell Bentley, niggas in the suburbs.
Yeah.
You see him? See, this is why he's never invited to the wilderness. He is never, ever a Proverbs woman. Sir, the woman was already married. This is suburbs, man. These suburbs. Man. I stay out of the suburbs, brother. You cannot come to wilderness because she is married. And I said, married women can start businesses.
You know what, Trey Billy? Don't even worry about it. I got your back. Watch this, y'all. Hey, that's what he meant. That's what he meant. Shout out to the Trail Billy, man. Shout out to Trail Billy, okay?
Never invited to the wilderness. Ever.
So that's what he meant. But my thing is, to me, I mean, because what we're saying is on the money. But the thing is, that's why I'm saying Black women have this history of mental illness that nobody speaks about them just being mentally ill. Because I don't understand why you're not happy and you made all the choices. Do y'all know when I was young, there was a couple times that I really wasn't doing much. That didn't last that long, unfortunately. But when I had those free days and I did exactly what I wanted to do, no matter how them days came out, I never complained because I picked everything. I don't understand why you would pick misery. Okay? That's my thing, y'all. Why do you pick misery? Mm-hmm. And why do you expect a man to care that you picked misery? Because I see a bunch of women who talk about how they can make their own choices. Women should be able to do this and women should be able to do that. And I don't tell them that women shouldn't be able to do this. I just say, hey, it's a free society. Do what you do. But, it is what it is. And how it come out, it come out. We all got to take gambles in life. So why you get on the internet and complain about how your gamble feel? You made the gamble.
Because society, school, well, like you said, like you can believe what you want to believe, right? So they chose to believe a lie. And you like you said before, right? And if you believe a lie, that's on you. Because they chose to believe a lie. They chose to believe a lie that things don't have consequences. Everything has consequences, good decisions and bad decisions. Everything has consequences. And if you, as anyone who has raised up a good business, right? I started my business 9 years ago, and only recently we start turning profit. Only recently, and this is when I was broke, busted, and disgusted. But you have to put so much time, so much effort into your business because it's a child. And as anyone who actually grew a business and put time and effort in it, you don't have you do not have time for a family.
Hey, well stated, brother. Well stated. Now we got Hrebles coming up, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. What's going on, brother?
Hey, hello, Roger. Shout out to the other panelists there. It sounded like sauce, but dry, what? Dirty? Mr. Dirty.
D-Rod. Dirty D. I think that's short for Dirty Dick Rodney.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But you said no more cussing on your show, right? So I'm trying to respect.
I'm just gonna call him Mr. Dirty. Mr. Dirty. But yeah, shout out to you. Yeah, so I was looking at the I listened to to basically her slam poetry, right? It was actually pretty good. and she was talking in a way that say, look, this is what's going on with me mentally. I'm hearing all of these voices. Basically, it's the accumulation of all essentially what people are thinking about her and her failures over the years, or her perceived failures, right? From their perspective, not from her perspective, from their perspective. And she was taking all of that in, so much so to the point that she started to internalize it, which kind of points to your title, the mental health thing, right? The mental health issue.
I think the fact that she's not internalizing it enough makes her crazy.
Well,
she checked herself, and when she checked herself, she was right.
Okay, yeah. The thing is, though, she's internalized it to some extent, but she's also rejecting it consciously, so that way she doesn't have to deal with it. And so when people ask her these questions, hey, look, because you know what? And I will give her this: she's an attractive woman. She's kind of full figured, but that's for somebody who's age 40, that's about right. But she's still attractive. She's not, grossly. She's not grotesque. She's kind of shapely. Got some weight to her, but still looks classy and elegant. So she's been getting, and she said she was almost married. So what was going on there? So the thing is, see, this is actually part of the problem. Women either want to get married, or they don't, or they don't qualify. I was actually on a panel kind of discussing this and having this, and I just said it over and over to the women kind of started to accept. I said, look, if you qualify as a wife, men are going to ask to marry you. If you say no at that time, then they're going to move on to somebody else. You may or may not get another chance, but don't expect it. Now, the other reason you're not married is that you don't qualify. So it's got to be one of those. That's literally it.
I got to throw this in. If a man asks to marry you and you say no, then you weren't qualified to be a wife. What were you actually doing? You were playing games. You was wasting time with some man that you wasn't even interested in like that, because when stuff hit the fan, you was like, nah, I don't want to do this. But you was in a relationship giving him messages that it's a good thing for him to ask to marry you, which means what? You already knew what you was on. He just didn't know what you was on. So you was playing games the whole time. So no, you don't qualify to be a wife if you say no.
That's
because why would you spend that much time with a man that you don't want to marry?
Okay, so you're just using them then. Well, damn, Roger, you're taking away all of my points.
You're misusing them. We all use each other, but you're definitely misusing the man if you give him enough confidence to pop the question. This ain't like, do you want to go to the steakhouse with me? We talking about popping the question. If you were around a man that much and you don't want to marry him, you're not qualified to be a wife.
Okay, all right. What's going on, Roger? Now I gotta change it up a little bit. And I actually agree with you on that. I really don't have too much disagreement right there. But but that's what I was telling the women on the panel, right? The guys got it, but now that when I do this in the future, if I talk to somebody, I'll say, look, you got the proposal. Somebody saw you as a wife and you just didn't qualify, or you were never qualified to begin with. You were never up for consideration. But at any rate, going back to her, it's like she's trying to rationalize in her mind why she's not where she probably really wants to be. Not quite famous, still working the Chitlin circuit, if you want to call it that. Let's just say local circuit, Chitlin circuit. Not married, no kids, and all this other stuff. My only thing that she probably has done right is not produce children. I don't really look, if a woman is not married and she's taking care of herself and she's living her life and doing slam poetry and traveling the world and working her job or her career, I don't have any issue with that. My only issue is when they drag kids into it, because you notice in her, as part of her rhetoric, she was actually talking about, well, what about the kids? Okay, so you're not married, but where are the kids? I'm like, no, we don't bring kids into this nonsense. Go ahead and live your life, do what you're gonna do, but just don't drag kids into it, because we know what the probability for the negative outcomes are for women with children raising them by themselves. So all of that being said, I really don't have an issue with it, but it looked like she was using the slam poetry, which was relatively clever in a way to kind of assuage her feelings on how she truly feels about her emotions, on how she truly feels about her life, how her life has turned out at age 40 or 40 plus.
I don't know, Matt. I just don't know how you can miss the moral. You can miss the moral of your own story. Because I mean, she clearly
That was amazing. That was amazing.
she clearly missed it, man. She clearly missed it because at the end of the day, everybody clapping, but you know, the poetry, the traveling around, and all that stuff you set out for, right? At the end of the day, you're not fulfilled. Why you're not fulfilled? Because you didn't get married and you didn't have children. That is biological, right?
Yeah.
Women, statistically and historically, will never feel fulfilled without being married with children. And she even she did all this for 20 years, lasted longer than her peers. Yeah, on the chitlin circuit, but she has crafted out a living. And at the end of her day, what is her subconscious saying? Right? None of that mattered, right? Because you wasted your eggs because you didn't get married. And the dude that asked you to marry you, you probably now you regret it because you probably were sitting up in New Jersey at the chop shop with another nigga semen inside you.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's a roundabout. Well, that's another way of putting it. But I tried to mention the fact that she's using poetry to kind of assuage her emotions for her not really getting what she wanted to out of life, because she mentioned all the checkpoints, the milestones: marriage, proposal, marriage, kids, and all this other stuff. Still on the chitlin circuit, so you ain't blown up yet. So that's all the stuff that she really wanted to do. She ain't got there yet. So that's that inner voice getting at her, digging at her, going, "Hey, look, this is what you really wanted, but you still ain't there yet." And at the end, she tried to justify by trying to just, okay, I'm going to ignore that. But so she's really not dealing with it.
Well, I'm gonna say the fact that she's still on the chicken circuit don't make no difference. She a woman. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but the fact that when I see what she looked like and I see what she built like, and I understand she was probably even cuter as she was younger. At the end of the day, this lady ain't got no excuse, man. She not fat, she not ugly, and she don't got kids. There's literally no excuse why she just didn't hit the nail on the head, except for the fact that she's just not a good person. Yeah. If this woman was a good person, somebody would have married her. She ain't ugly.
Well, somebody did try to marry her.
No. Some man she wanted would have tried to marry her. Making the claim that somebody tried to marry you, which I do believe most of this stuff is just claims black women say because they don't want to say that nobody, they don't want to admit that nobody wanted to marry them. If you with a man that you don't like and the man that you don't like tries to marry you, that's not a brag. It shows you're dysfunctional because you gave a man who you don't like that much time. That's not an intelligent thing. It's not sane. If you want to get married, but I'm spending a bunch of my time with a man that I don't believe is worth marrying, that's not a sane thing to do.
No.
There's nothing intelligent about that. Now, I don't believe them per se. Like I know a lot of guys, y'all believe this stuff. Black women care about their image more than anything. So to me, they just lie and say somebody was going to marry them so they can feel they have a one-up. But the truth is, it's just about a feeling to them. They want to feel like they somebody. If somebody proposed, you would have got married. Now, black women, they would divorce you at the drop of a dime. So they would have got married if somebody proposed.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that is true. They will definitely graduate a Negro.
Yeah, that's the divorce curriculum, right? As per the divorce curriculum. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I don't believe these women and all this stuff that can't be proven. Yeah, every woman got some story about how 32 dudes tried to marry them, but they didn't want them. Man, get out of here! You just a liar. At the end of the day, you're not worth marrying. That's why you're not married. It's that simple. When it comes to life, gives results, man, and the results are stuff we just got to deal with. I understand we're not gonna like every result we get, but if you was worth marrying, you would have been married. It's that simple.
He actually said, "Okay, I hear you say you got 3 proposals," and they said, "Well, was it in public or was it on record? Do you have the video? Do you have photos and stuff like that?"
It's not about what somebody said. You didn't get married, man. I don't need to know nothing about no proposal. You didn't get married. Nobody asked you.
Well, yeah, it's just they're trying to what do you call it? Frame the proposal, but the result, no marriage.
If you didn't get married, then nobody asked you, man. I don't believe just random stuff coming out of women's mouths. They show a long history of lying on such a regular basis that it don't even compute to them as a lie.
I do have one question for you, Roger. Because I hear you say this quite a bit. You say black women. You say black women or women in general, but black women specifically care about their image. Do they really? Because there's a lot of negative stuff out there.
Black women care about their image more than anything else. They care about it more than their husbands, if they even get one. They care about it more than their children. Most of them care about it more than God himself. There's nothing that they don't put in front of their image.
See, but and I'm saying this because people try to malign black men's image too. The problem is that when they're impugning black men's image, verifiable data and statistics is contrary to what it is to most of the statements they're making.
Well, the thing is,
majority of black men are baby daddies, but data doesn't say that. Majority of black men are broke. Data doesn't say that.
Well, why they saying all that stuff if their image ain't more of their concern? Think about it. If you try to blame somebody else for your position, how's that not about your image?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Because you're right. I do see stuff like that, and I haven't quite got this down just yet, so I'm a little confused when I do hear that, and then when I see some of the discussions that are going on.
Black women talking about don't nobody want to marry black women, but yet all the black women been proposed to multiple times, but ain't nobody married.
Yeah, that is a.
All this is supposedly happening at the same time. In the black community, you got about 27% of the women who actually have a husband of any kind. I ain't even saying a good husband, just a husband of any kind. Not even necessarily a black man, a husband of any kind. So everybody want to marry y'all because they getting proposals left and right. Okay. And my thing is, how many times do men propose and don't get married? I ain't never proposed to anybody, but I ain't married. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a bunch of friends that propose and somebody turned them down. I don't know one man off the top of my head who proposed to anybody and they said no. So now nobody wants. Well, I'm just saying all these things cannot exist at the same time and be true. You can't have it where black women getting proposed to left and right, but they want to get married. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, now it's an issue about who's gonna marry them. But they're good enough for everybody, but nobody's marrying them. I mean, I'm talking about from a general level, because technically, yes, 27% are married, so we ain't gonna say absolutely nobody marries them. But if basically 3/4 of you are not married, there's something going on when the general man doesn't want to marry them. Because people put it off on black men. What, black men ain't no good. Okay, I hear you. What about the people that ain't black? Because you're in a country full of people that ain't black. They ain't marry you either.
Yeah. And I've heard that. Black men don't want to get married. I've heard that a lot, way too many times.
Because I'd rather lie on black men than deal with the fact of what's really going on with me, because my image is more important than anything else.
Okay, so that's why you say that. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
I mean, I'm just saying it's proof all over the place.
Yeah, when I hear that, I'm just trying to understand where it comes from. And because if you just say, well, black men don't want to get married, they ain't no damn good, then now you're saving your image and you're putting the blame on them.
Yeah, I have been on panels with women and I've said, okay, cool. I'm not going to even argue that point. But you're only 7% of the country. What happened to the other men? It don't take that many men to date outside their race for black women to be totally squared away.
No. You only need like maybe 5 or 6. You need less than 10%. That's all it really needs.
They are only 7% of the country.
Yeah. 6 or 7%. All these different groups marry and take them to the market. They'll be good.
All these different kinds of men out here, and they can't take care of 7% of the country. It ain't enough left over. There's not enough leftover Hispanic men. There's not enough leftover Indian men. There's not enough leftover white men. There's not enough leftover Asian men to take care of 7%. Yeah, that's about that. They lying.
Yeah, you don't even need 10% from each group. You need less than 10%. They'll be covered.
You need about 1% per group.
Yeah, if you take black men off the table completely, yeah, the other men got them covered. That's
and my thing is, that's why at some point we need to acknowledge these women are crazy. Because even the lies they tell don't even make sense. These women just crazy. Nobody wants to diagnose these women. People want to act like this stuff is okay. And I get it. Mainstream media wants to control the narrative. But I'm saying when you really actually just sit down and just simply look at the facts, it's hard to come to any conclusion that's not consistent with Black women have a mental health crisis going on.
Yeah, so her poetry rhetoric was really a coping mechanism to explain away why she ain't got a husband, kids, better career, and all this other stuff, this, that, and the third. Or at least, and I'm not gonna say her career is slam poetry. That's something she probably does on the side.
The poetry thing, I'm not even worried about how far she got into that because she's a woman. Nobody's looking for her to earn a bunch of money. So that has nothing to do with it. The fact that you've been around the country and yet none of the men around the country want to marry you tells me you're just not a good person. The people in her city don't like her. The people in her state don't like her. I get that. But you've been around the country. So that means the people in other cities don't like you. The people in other states don't like you. You've gone around the country and nobody wants to marry you.
Yeah, because she's a cutie. She's a cutie. Ain't nothing wrong with her. So yeah, she's been, especially if she's cute now, she was even better looking when she was younger. So yeah, something's going on there.
You got into a mental fight with yourself that you told us about on stage. You didn't even wear a proper shirt and you lost to yourself because you still ain't got no husband and you still ain't got no kids. You lost the fight of your life to yourself. And you want people to applaud you over.
Well,
like how much losing you got to do?
Okay, so there you go. Other people are actually part of the problem too. Maybe most of the women.
Say that again.
Other people are part of the problem too. Primarily mostly women, because I suspect it was a lot of women applauding that, and maybe some dudes because I'm gonna go to her overarching message, which was, don't listen to other people's opinions. You need to be happy with your own life, no matter what everybody else says to you. But that was the whole point of her message was, look, I may not necessarily be happy with myself because I got this inner voice. What do you call that thing on your shoulder? Anyway, whatever it is.
The conscience, little devil or that little angel.
I got my conscience. My conscience is bugging away at me, telling me that even though this is my reality, this is not what I wanted to do. That was the whole point of her message, Roger.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I'm definitely wouldn't deny it at all, but I'm just gonna say she failed completely because of herself. She had to fight with herself and still lost. How'd you fight yourself? I'm not saying it helps, but it does sound a little bit better when you say I argue with somebody else and I just didn't listen to them and I still messed up. She said she argued with herself and still did. She still somehow got to all the wrong choices, even after fighting herself. How you fight yourself and still get all the wrong choices? That's crazy. I'm just saying. And I'm going to say shout out to Mr. Clay, man. Glad to see you on the live. Glad to see you on the live. Now, you done missed a lot. I'm going to say, well, you could do it during the show, where you can just go back to the beginning, or you could turn it around after we done and go back to the beginning. But make sure you enjoy the whole episode. But shout out to Mr. Clay, y'all. I've been seeing Mr. Clay around. He done hooked me up on the Cash App side. Appreciate Mr. Clay. Welcome to the channel, my brother. Welcome to the channel. Okay? But y'all, we do got two guests that just popped up. So let me get a flow to Tunnel Runner Roy Nail, and then let me get Jado in right behind him. Tunnel Runner, you have the flow, my brother. Tunnel Runner, it's on you. Okay, he just muted. Maybe he's having some difficulty. So Jado, why don't you jump in, and then we'll try to get Tunnel Runner after Jado's finished.
Hey, good morning, Roger. Am I coming in clear?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good.
As clear as her conscience was, even though she lost. Now, we don't hear you now. I guess they're hanging out with that woman's conscience. These brothers hanging out with old girl conscious right now. That's obviously that's what's going on. Okay, gentlemen, y'all just get in when you
Hey, what's
okay.
up, Rock?
There you go.
I'm back, man. My phone acting up right now, brother. Thanks for having me up. Salute to the gentleman on the panel and everybody in the chat. Yeah, I've caught about maybe about a third of the show so far, man. Great conversation. I'm convinced that like women as a whole, especially black women, they live in a world of cognitive dissonance, man. So they have these ideas going on in their head, especially about happiness and what they should be doing. That's been kind of implanted in them recently in society, as far as like feminism and what you should be doing to be happy, be a boss, be an entrepreneur, and doing all this, travel the world, and just be out there slaying it and stuff like that. Just all these little ideas. But they have another idea in their head. They know that stuff doesn't truly make them happy. You know what I'm saying? They try to attempt all these things and try to make themselves happy, and they're always searching, trying to do something, and it doesn't add up. But they would have to really structure up or fall up under some structure and get married and bear some children, and their true happiness is right in front of them, but they still have this idea of trying to be a boss B or whatever. And a lot of this stuff, man, when I hear black women talking and stuff, man, 98% of the time, man, it's really projection, man. When they talk about black men particularly, man, they're coping with themselves, man. They have internal conflict, and to throw you off or a way for them to not deal with their own conflict, their own issues, their own insanity, in a sense, they're pushing it on black men. They'll say, oh man, you guys haven't built nothing. You're unemployed. You got, 12 baby mamas and all the rhetoric that we hear commonly all the time. And a lot of times, man, they deal with this conflict, this internal conflict, because almost all the time, but most of the time it doesn't really have anything to do with black men. Again, they're trying to deal with themselves. So they're going to put it off on you. And a lot of us fall into it and listen to it and actually try to appeal to them and oh yeah, really? But they have this conflict. So this woman is in that video, that your link, Roger, she kind of dove into it a little bit, but not, fully, of course, or whatever. And she's pretty attractive, man. Got some nice childbearing hips, and not too big, not too skinny, man. Decent looking chick, man. But all these black women are all running around with this type of internal conflict in their head. To be honest with you, it's just a spectrum. You can dial it all the way to the right, and you have one extreme. You can dial it all the way to the left, and you might have another extreme. Most of them fall up under the bell curve. They're somewhere in the middle somewhere. So a lot of this stuff, man, again, man, they're dealing in projecting. And I'm saying I think we shouldn't be entertaining them with this stuff for the most part. And they have some cognitive dissonance with this thing, with their whole lives. And they cope with this stuff a lot of times with fleeting moments of pleasure. So that's why you see them popping pills, getting random D, and doing these little girl trips and carpet munching and all random types of stuff that they get into. You know what I'm saying? So I think black men just need to really realize that they're all on this spectrum on some level, and it's just how much you're going to deal with it. Hopefully they're more to the right than to the left of that curve. And I'll end right there. Thanks for having me up, man.
Well, and let me just say real quick, y'all, as I looked at that woman again, who's on stage with a microphone, reciting this poem about how she argued with herself and still lost, even though she presented it as she won. You knew everybody was going to see you got a mic in front of you. Why you wear that shirt? I'm just saying, man, you want some funny results with that shirt on. Okay? If you ain't got no husband, why you wear that shirt? That's all I'm saying, man.
That's a signal. Still trying to get a husband.
That ain't the
what they look like when they get out the door.
That ain't the signal for her. It's a signal. It's definitely a signal, but it ain't the signal for her husband.
Well,
That's why
that may be one of the
I
reasons
just
she ain't got one just yet. She's still trying to figure out how to make it happen.
Which woman you talking about, Roger? Which woman?
The one that recited the poem. Why did she wear that shirt?
She advertised it, right?
No, I'm not saying she's not, but I'm saying to do a poem about you failing to get a husband, failing to have the kids and all that type of stuff, but you got that particular shirt on while you doing it, and there's a mic in front of you, so you knew you was gonna be looked at by everybody.
Well,
that's just not the shirt to wear.
Well,
I think she was. Roger, at the end of the day, you got to understand something. She missed the point of her own damn story. So I mean, what more out of that? And then on top, I mean, look, man, hey, man, I don't know what to say, but when she was like, she even said, toxic positivity is what you're doing. And then at the end, what did she do? Toxic positivity. Oh, I'm going to brush off these things that people put up. Stop it. No, that was God telling you. You messed up.
No, I get it, brother. And my thing is, I don't know how to help a woman that argue with herself.
Am I coming through? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Tunnel Runner. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't think so.
We hear you, Tunnel Runner.
I went out again.
Oh, I hear you fine. I don't hear you now.
Yeah, but well, until the brother comes back. But I mean, it was crazy. It's just crazy, man. Like, she missed her own point, so I don't expect her to do anything right.
She can
stuff she's doing already.
She can still win. She's in, I call it third wife territory, right? Because of her age.
Yeah, her age is going to slow her down from being successful.
Well, I mean, she can be a stepmom. She can definitely be a stepmom.
Yeah, because she's gonna have to deal with a dude who's already been married, divorced, with kids. He may have, like teenagers at this point. Yeah. And she needs to go maybe about 10 to 15 years older. She can still get a husband, which is kind of crazy to me because women, they could still make it happen. They just got to make some adjustments, and I don't know why
that's the problem. They don't want to make adjustments. They have to settle. She's going to have to settle because she probably wants, what they all want. 6 foot, 6, figures, and what 6-pack.
Those guys are already married.
Get that.
Yeah, those guys are already married, or they're players for, or what is it? Players for life? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
They're either married or they're players for life.
But they live in a fantasy world. They're living in a fantasy world, and they're not going to wake up until something drastically happens. Because just like you have these women, Black American women, going to Thailand to find a Black American man. What are you? I mean, it's insane from the get-go. Why would a Black woman from Chicago leave Chicago, Black women leaving Atlanta, and going to Thailand to find an American Black man? And then being upset because that's not there, and the ones that are there are not looking for them. Why are you upset with that situation when you just backwards? You need somebody to guide you because your guidance is off, seriously off.
Yeah, you're right, Tunnel Runner. They're attempting to run away from themselves, man. Like that's kind of the thing. They think they're gonna find again. They're seeking. They're always seeking when what their happiness is right in front of them, really. But they want to. I mean, that requires some type of structure, like some type of discipline, some type of accountability by getting married. That is required. You know what I'm saying? So instead of doing that, it's a conflict. It's like, okay, I'm just going to travel the world and maybe I'll get lucky. Like a lot of these women are just scrambling, gambling. They're rolling the dice, trying to see what happens. And like I said, in the interim, they're just having little fleeting moments of pleasure, of happiness. Like in between time, they're still getting sexual like that woman on that link. She's getting sexual access. I would holler at her if I ain't had nothing else to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get at her just to, possibly, and like they have fleeting moments and then gets them by until, either they get lucky, some dude is, takes them in, or, they just do that until they die.
I mean, she looks like one of my exes. I had an ex look just like that. Same, and but she was a little crazy. Couldn't, make it happen because she wouldn't, act right.
It's rare, and I know you guys don't deal in exceptions. It's rare, but it does happen. But yeah, the probability of her actually getting a husband at this point while still talking about it and trying to rationalize it with slam poetry, yeah, she's gonna have to make some changes. Whatever she was doing before, even with the proposal or alleged proposal, it's not right because
she probably should change her shirt. Yeah, she got to make some changes. She can start with her shirt.
Yeah, I would agree.
Hey, I'm sorry, Roger. Was it really? I wasn't even paying attention like that. Was it revealing or what? Yeah, was it what?
It was kind of see through. You can see the undergarments through the.
Okay, yeah. She's searching for that. Yeah, go ahead.
It was a shirt designed to show her bra off and her titties.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, they're searching in the interim that they can get maybe a couple weeks, a one night, an hour, a half an hour of pleasure or whatever, someone desiring them. They'll take that.
I mean, the shirt definitely will get you the D. It ain't gonna get you down the aisle, but it'll get you.
I mean, I don't know, Rod. Sometimes they luck up, man. Hoes luck up too, bro. I mean, I ain't saying they out here winning.
I ain't saying they can't get lucky, but the shirt definitely says, come try to put your D in me. It don't say take me down the aisle. Now, maybe she showed herself in a way that she possibly can get down the aisle later, but the shirt ain't telling me take her down no aisle. The shirt is telling me take her to the hotel.
Yeah, probability versus possibility, right?
I mean, that proximity, though.
Rate is showing everything.
Yeah,
that 20% marriage rate is showing you that they are not doing the right things. They are making a whole lot of mistakes. And by being married, all 5 years when they do get married, it's showing you that they can't maintain even the ones they can get.
But my thing is the point is, if you're doing the poem about how you miss marriage and you miss having the kids, and you do this particular poem with that shirt on, it shows a level of the lack of sanity that you possess. Like if that's what you're still trying to do, why you got that shirt on and the mic in front of you? You knew you was gonna be on stage in front of everybody else. This is your time to shine. Why wear that shirt?
Because she thinks that she can suck Pookie's drive to marriage.
Oh no! By the time they're 40, they're done with Pookie. They're trying to find somebody.
No, they're not. No, they are not.
Oh no, yeah, maybe 60s. Yeah, I might agree with you, Kev. I mean, Ace Rebels, if you talk about 60s, but nah, definitely not in the 40s.
40.
Well, I'll just say she's not looking for Pookie to marry her at that point. She's not looking for Pookie to marry her at that point. I ain't gonna say she's done with him, but she ain't looking at him as the guy that's gonna marry me.
Okay, so allow me to rephrase. She's looking for more stability and stability, security, and something long term that's going to take her to the end of her life.
I mean,
gentlemen,
but Pookie is still on the table.
There are 3 levels of Pookie. There are 3 levels of Pookie.
Break it down, brother.
Right. We got Pookie large, Pookie extra large, and Pookie double large. All right, now see, Pookie large is, Mickey Mouse stuff. Sleep on your couch, eating Cheetos, playing Madden while you're at home driving your car, right? That's Pookie large. Pookie extra large is Pookie went to college for a little bit, dropped out, give you hope that he's going to do something, but really not.
Okay.
And then there's Pookie XL. Pookie XL is where you're the side chick, but you just don't know it.
Okay.
How does a woman really not know she's a side chick? I just don't buy the women that slow.
Because Pookie Double X got it on lock. Pookie Double X got a whole wife in Nigeria and kids and shit. And come to her and be like, yeah, baby, you're the only one. So, she's the side chick and she don't know. Because Pookie Double X got a whole wife and family in another country.
Well, I'm going to say this, y'all. To me, there's only one Pookie, the guy who just simply refuses to get a legal job. And I do that specifically because people are always trying to take away something from black men. If you didn't get a legal job, yeah, you pookie. If you got a legal job, you're not pookie. Now you got to explain something else to me. Because I can hear a woman saying, well, I didn't mess with him because he don't have no job. And black women are not saying that, but if they were saying it, I would understand. Okay,
so
but they're not doing that.
Then let me clarify. Sometimes crime does pay, and that's Pookie double XL. Sometimes crime do pay.
Well, my thing is, I'm not saying women ain't gonna mess with criminals because they do. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, Pookie is the guy who won't get a legal job. He has the ability to go get a legal job, but he just won't. You know what I'm saying?
So
but my thing is, I can't give you any sympathy that you didn't go deal with a guy who would legally be employed. I can't give you sympathy for that.
But Roger, like, so American Gangster, Denzel Washington, right? Now, that's a super Pookie, right? Right? By definition, he's a super Pookie. Now, they are rare, so I'm not talking about him, but sometimes crime pay a little bit. So he got a little money in his pocket, might got a car, might got a house, but hey, crime pay a little bit. And that's the 40-year-old nigga. That's the dudes that 40-year-old women be dealing with.
I won't argue that. I won't argue that at all. You know what I'm saying? I won't argue that at all. I think that's a pretty legit statement, especially before they started changing some laws. Because I saw when you could still go buy a house with drug money. Yeah, she'd definitely be on that. You know what I'm saying? It's just laws got changed. You can't put stuff in your name, and now if you put more than 10,000, well, if you put 10,000 or more in the bank at one time, they're gonna automatically start an investigation on you. So yeah, stuff is a little bit different. But the thing is, my point is, black women ain't never had an issue with Pookie. You know what I'm saying? He always rocked with them. There's never really been an issue with that. Now the thing is, if you looking to have this happy-go-lucky life with Pookie, that does show a lack of sanity. Because he's a Pookie in the first place. So how you trying to have a happy-go-lucky lifestyle with a dude who won't take on legal employment?
Yeah.
That don't make no sense.
It's exciting.
And my thing is, I'm not tripping that you went after your excitement. But when you're 40 years old, and I'm just use her for an example, when you're 40 years old, you're writing poems about how you never got married and never got kids. You are just proving to the world you crazy. You know, you argue with yourself. This was not something that got past you, and you admitted that it didn't get past. I'm not saying it got past the other women. You admitted that it didn't get past you. You actually thought about it, and you kept going in the wrong direction. So what am I supposed to do with you? Hey, she seemed like she fun in the bedroom. I just say that. You know what I'm saying? She not ugly. I'm sure you go to the bedroom with her, you can have a great time. But even after that poem, I got less reason to like you, especially with that shirt on. It just is what it is.
But that's all she can offer you, Roger.
Basically nothing. Because you think I'm going to take that around my family? You think I'm going to introduce us, my woman, with that shirt on? Ain't nothing going. Ain't nothing happening. It just is what it is. But my thing is... No, go ahead, Jada.
What if you roll around in the hay with her and whatever I'm just saying hypothetically, you fall asleep, you wake up and your entire house is cleaned and it's a night you smell eggs and bacon, you know, coming from the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do then? See, like, here you go, King.
I would simply remember that even a clock can be right twice a day.
And she rinses and repeats. You know, she does the next week. You like,
ain't gonna be no rinse and repeat, bro. I ain't going to sleep with her no more now.
Okay, right. Okay.
Ain't no rinse and repeat. Bro, she got a shirt on that tell me don't take her nowhere near my family. It just is what it is.
I'm just saying, like, and not put, you know, specifically you, Roger, just men in general. Like, you know, she got close to some man. And she might get it together just enough to get the ring if she wants to.
I'm saying I find her attractive. I will say that. I don't have no issue with that. I find her to be an attractive woman. But that shirt teller don't ever bring her around my family. Now, you only got one chance to make a first impression, unfortunately.
But Roger, the problem is that she's not going to do that. She's not going to rinse and repeat. Most of these women, if they would do that, they would get a man, but they do not want to do that for a black man. They are not doing that, and that's why
Yeah,
they.
And my thing is
most
to
of them
kind of
want.
go
Yeah.
along with the subject of the show and to agree with you. The fact that you wore that shirt, if you think you have a second chance with me, you alone. You're a crazy woman thinking you're gonna wear that out and I'm supposed to see you next week. Now I ain't telling you we may not do something that night, but if you think we're gonna see each other next week, you crazy.
Turn around. I agree. Most of them would not do that. I mean, I'm just throwing out a hypothetical because that stuff does happen, man. That stuff does happen. And you might be like, you had a good time with her. She done, lulled us to, kind of made us relax a little bit. You done got off. You eating. You know what I'm saying? And you might be like, hey, I don't like that shirt you wore. It was kind of revealing. You know what? It was. I'm gonna try to. Yeah, I'm gonna change that.
Man, she 40-something years old. She know what time it is with that shirt. I got to tell her that at 40. She 40-something. Remember that we don't even know what she is. She 40-something. She could be 49.
Might be 49, yeah. 364 days, yeah, definitely. But I mean, women live in this world of manipulation, so that's all I'm saying.
This shirt means you don't get to go around family. It is, and my thing is, I'm pretty sure you dress yourself, and you say you go around the country doing the thing, and you put this on to do this thing because there's a mic in front of you. I believe she was expecting to do this poem. So she wore the clothes for doing this poem on stage where basically the vast majority of everybody there is going to be looking at her. And that's the shirt you pick? Yeah, I ain't never take you around, mama. You can forget that. You ain't going to never meet my mama. You ain't going to never meet my dad. You can't meet my brothers unless we finna all get down together. You see what I'm saying? What you meet my cousins for unless we finna all get down together? What you meeting them for? Because I see the shirt you got on. My friends and family should not see my woman's bra. That ain't supposed to happen. Now if you talk about what you do with your hoes, I can understand how your friends and family may see your hoes bra. But people who looking at me to be in a relationship with somebody, they not supposed to see my leg. I ain't seen my cousin's wife bra. It ain't never happened. I can't think of one time why I've ever, and I done been around family in all kinds of situations and spent the night at people's homes. We done had different family events. I got a lot of cousins. I ain't never seen one cousin's wife's bra. Not ever. I ain't gonna be the first one. Because if I take you around family, you might pick that shirt.
Roger, we see with that Pop the Balloon show, you can put the perfect guy in front of them and put the perfect guy in front of them, and they will look him up and down and find the smallest thing that they don't like and to deny him. If he doesn't take that rejection from them, they don't want him. They have to be mean. They want to be mean and evil, and you want the guy to take it, and then they will be ready to deal with him. But if he stands on his feet and says, "Oh no," and they are everything that they want, they will find the smallest things. So these guys go other places, and the woman will, whatever thing they don't like, his shoes or whatever, they just change that for him. They get him together, and then the girl look at him, now I want him. But he's already taken. They're just not making sense. It's not sense.
Now, even with what you said, does that not speak to having some level of insanity going on? Where I do want the man that's already taken, but I never want the man that's single.
Correct. That's what's going on. That's what's going on out there. Because I even had guys where women have a guy has come and talked to a group of women. The group has denied the guy, reject him. He walks away. Then they come to me and say, tell him to come back.
Right. For what?
Why you did that in front of your girlfriends? Well, tell him to come back over here. You just disrespecting him. Now you want him to come back. You want him to talk to him. It doesn't make sense.
So you like a guy, but you want to embarrass him around your friends, but then you want to go privately tell somebody, can you get dude to come back? Because I actually do like him. And he's supposed to come back and do what? Sign up to be embarrassed in front of your friends on a regular basis and only respect him, quote unquote, privately? Yeah, what sense does that make? My thing is, black women show all kinds of evidence that they are loons. They crazy. There's insanity going on. That's what I'm saying. People ain't saying it, but there's a huge mental health crisis going on with black women. You know, you want a husband, but your go-to is I'm a sexual being and I can have great sex with you. That's your go-to for a husband? Come on, man. How slow can you be?
Well, I mean, that's how her mama got her daddy.
Well, most kids mama don't have their daddy. Just think about that.
Yeah, you're right. Right, I mean, but that's the place she got.
Well, my thing is, if your mama ain't got no husband, you should at least be trying to figure out how to not be her. You living with the evidence of how to do it wrong. Like you ain't even got to do no research. It's right there in the house with you. You know. So my thing is, you're looking for good and positive results with all kinds of negative stuff, and nobody's saying these women are mentally challenged. That's generally not said about black women. But I see them live whole lives where all I can come to as a conclusion is you kind of off. And that's what I'm being nice about it. You kind of off. You know, the person I brought up earlier today who was at work talking about, hey, can you come back tomorrow? You are literally telling a stranger that don't work with you, I don't want to do my job. And you expected me not to tell somebody? Like, you're kind of off. Why would you admit that you don't want to work at work? That makes zero sense at the end of the day. You kind of crazy. You know? They do a lot of stuff that's very off at the end of the day. If you want to lose weight, you got to do some exercise. Black women tell you all day long, I'm just going to quote unquote change my diet and everything will just work itself out. No exercise plan at all. You run past any random gym. I bet you won't see a black woman in it. And if you see one, that's somebody trying to get a hold of somebody else other than a black man. But you probably ain't going to see that. You know, let's be real. I grew up, I can't remember one woman jogging in the neighborhood. Okay, I ain't telling y'all I ain't never seen a black woman jog. But I'm saying in my entire childhood, I cannot ever remember seeing one black woman jog. But I lived in a black neighborhood.
Hey,
Not
Roger,
one.
Roger, I had a coworker who came into work, a sister girl, and she said she ain't going to do anything. I'm here not to do anything. And I said, go home. And she looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, if you're not going to do anything, why are you here?
Did you come to make an announcement? That's it.
I was like, why are you here? If you're not going to do anything, I understand you saying you don't want to get dogged out. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. But you said you don't want to do anything. So why are you here at work?
That's what I was trying to figure out. If you ain't trying to work while you're at work, because you know what people do at work? They work. It's in the name. It's not like it's a mystery of what we going to do at work. We going to work. It's right there in the name. You know? So my thing is, black women there's really a mental health crisis going on. And we just got a bunch of undiagnosed black women who are crazy. And people just ain't saying nothing about it. You know? And my thing is, I don't have to pretend you ain't crazy to make random people feel comfortable. That's how I am. I told that when I had to deal with that young lady who didn't want to do her job. You know, when a person was trying to defend her, I said, I don't have to pretend she's something other than what she is to make you feel comfortable. That ain't my job. That's not what I do for people. I don't have to play those games with people. It's not my problem to deal with. The quickest way to deal with a problem is to recognize you got one. Yeah. You're being mean. No, I'm not being mean by saying what someone's doing. If you think what I'm saying is bad, maybe they need to change what they're doing. Because you taking it as a negative. I'm just pointing out what they're doing. You know, if you're taking it as a negative thing, you probably should talk to her if y'all co-workers, and tell her not to do something that don't sound right when somebody says what it is. It's probably not a smart thing to do at work. You know? I mean, even the fact that you have women getting online talking about they're not gonna cook and they're not gonna clean. Yeah, I want a husband, but I ain't cooking and cleaning. Why would you be dumb enough to even admit that on air? Does that not sound like a crazy person? I want a husband, but I'm gonna get on a public platform and tell people I'm not gonna cook and I'm not gonna clean. That don't sound intelligent to me. That's like me saying, hey, I want a wife, but I refuse to go out and earn money. What
Yep,
you know,
yep.
holler at me anyway, though. I refuse to go earn money. Holler at me anyway.
Hey, Roger, I got a couple of coworkers saying my wife is doing too much. And that's why she got one on her arm and they don't have one on their arm. They say my wife is doing too much. She's doing too much work. She's doing too much stuff. And I still ain't brought her a Gucci belt.
Down with the Gucci belts, real talk. Shout out to all them brothers who couldn't afford that Gucci belt but killed yourself over the woman who won't even cook your food. You know, you know, there are some very crazy expectations out there because like y'all. I know some people think I be joking when I say if I'm with a woman for real like that, we married or something, and she's not doing certain things to please me in a relationship, and I'm saying, Joe, I ain't gonna pay for nothing. Some people be thinking I'm joking. And I be dead serious. I'm not rewarding somebody for not doing what they're supposed to do. I think a lot of brothers need to start taking that same measurement. That same level of measurement. Your woman ain't doing nothing you ask. Why you paying bills, bro? That'd be my first thing. Why you paying bills? You ain't getting nothing you want. So why you paying for all this stuff that you don't want? It don't make sense to me. Would you buy a Christmas gift for somebody you can't stand? Because I wouldn't. Just real talk. I've never done it. I doubt I might ever do it in the future. Some guy, is your neighbor. You can't stand him. You gonna buy him a Christmas gift? Well, if you go home and you can't stand your wife, why you buying her stuff? If we can't work together for the betterment of the family, I don't see myself paying for anything. And that's just real talk. I don't care what money I'm earning. I don't see myself paying for nothing. We're going to lose this house. We're going to be in the street. Because you know what I think? If we got to go back to the streets, I think I'm be able to handle it better than her. Now, that's just me. Y'all may think that's crazy, but I really believe I can handle the street better than her. I ain't never been homeless before, but we'll see what it's like. We had tried out for good measure, because maybe you need to be homeless to appreciate the fact that I pay a bill. Maybe that's what's going on at the end of the day. I don't know. My daddy told me everybody gonna learn though. You can learn, through stories. You can learn through something you saw on television. You might learn something from reading the book. You might learn, from somebody else telling you about their experience. But he said some people don't even learn when they die. So my thing is maybe you need to be homeless to understand the importance of me paying bills and the importance of you doing things so I will pay bills. Maybe we need to be homeless. That might be something we have to go through. Now, me personally, I ain't got to go through it personally, but maybe if I'm with a woman, maybe we got to be homeless so she'll get it. And I know there's going to be some people say, man, Roger, that's going too far. That's crazy. Is it? Is it really? How long y'all think we got to be homeless for her to get the message? Because it ain't going to be no joke. Because once we homeless, if it got to go that far, we going to be homeless. It ain't going to be no joke. Eventually them people going to show up to put us out. And she'll be like, you really didn't pay the bills? Yeah, I really didn't pay them. They put out all our stuff. Yep, that's what they're paid to do. That's this how eviction works. The sheriff come and they put you out. So you really didn't pay nothing. I told you that it wasn't nothing getting paid. I made it clear. You thought this was a game, I guess. Well, now, guess what? This is what you win. And I just believe sometimes you gotta let somebody get their prize for they to understand what they was doing. Okay, you got to get your prize. It is what it is. And I understand some people say, what if you got kids? Joe, you can get another house. You can get another apartment. You'll be all right. Long as you're working, long as you got money coming in, you can get something else. Okay. But is she gonna get the lesson? I'm not saying my wife has to appreciate me. I'm never gonna tell y'all that. But if my wife don't appreciate me, she gonna have a hard life. It's gonna be rough, y'all. It's gonna be rough. I was a Boy Scout. I will go to a store if I don't already have one and literally go buy a tent. And I will literally go set up in some wooded area. And I'm gonna be fine. Now, how long she wants to deal with this? Cool with me. You need to get us a house. Well, show me you can keep the tent clean, and then maybe we get another apartment. Maybe we put it down back on the house. You know what I'm saying? Because the money gonna already be there. Because keep in mind, y'all, I ain't paying no bills. I probably just pay the cell phone bill. That's it. I ain't paying no bills though. You know. So when the time comes when she can figure it out, and I'm not saying I want to go that far, y'all, but sometimes you gotta go that far with people for them to get it and not die over it. Some people ain't gonna learn until they die, and I've accepted that. Okay, but for me, you gotta be a good wife if you want me to be a good husband. I don't believe in being a good husband and hoping she gonna be a good wife. That's not what I signed up for. Now, if she can't be a good wife because she no longer has the ability, sure, I will step up and do stuff that we would have normally expected her to do. But you ain't gonna just elect not to do and think ain't nothing gonna happen. And I think that's really part of that's part of this culture that Black women have been allowed to participate in. Because even the ones with us that when we do get married, you hear some guys who complain about they wives or whatever, and they won't really do nothing to make them face a consequence. My thing is everything gonna go off. You don't want to do what you're supposed to do. I ain't finna sit here and argue all day. Maybe 2-3 weeks from the last argument or whatever, I didn't say what I said, and the lights go out, and you'll start to figure out this dude ain't playing. Because the lights gonna go out one day, and you're gonna be like, honey, the lights out. I'm like, yeah, okay, they finally turned them off. That's gonna be my reaction. Oh, they finally turned them off. What, you knew this was gonna happen? I told you I wasn't paying them bills. You don't act like a good wife. I'm not paying for a bad wife. Just is what it is. You thought it was a game, but now the lights went off. And my thing is, hopefully you get it together before we get evicted. Because when I stop paying that light bill, that mortgage or that rent, whatever we was doing at the time, that stopped getting paid too. And if the sheriff got to show up for you to understand this ain't no game, it is what it is. We pay taxes. I pay tax for that sheriff to show up and let you know that this ain't no game. And y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't that much of a no sentimental guy. I don't have no bunch of stuff that I keep because of sentimental value. I'm not one of those dudes. We just start from scratch. Real talk. We can get put out and leave with the clothes on our back and call it a day. We can start from scratch. I ain't gonna be tripping about it. No, it is what it is. So now maybe she learned when the lights go off, because I'm gonna assume that's gonna be one of the first things that happen. Lights probably gonna go off. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the people come out there to cut the gas off. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she pick up what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that happens somewhere near the same time where she figure out, oh, Roger wasn't playing. She might be on the phone with her girlfriends talking about, you know the lights went out today? It did. What happened? Was y'all had a blackout? No, this nigga didn't pay the bill. What time did he pay the bill? He not gonna pay it. He been told me the lights was going off. I didn't believe him. Maybe take 3-4 weeks. When I guess with a light bill, because I done heard people getting behind. Maybe 2 months or so them lights go out. It may take her that long to figure out this ain't no game. I pay for the stuff I want, and if you're not gonna be a good wife, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for no household, and I'm not getting a good wife out the situation. I'm just not doing it. Now, is that the best way to go? Well, people could beat their wives, but I don't think that's going to be socially accepted right now. You can kill your wife. I don't think that's going to be socially accepted. If you do any quote unquote harm to your wife, I don't think that's going to be socially accepted. But you know what people will learn to understand? Bills not getting paid. I'm the man, right? Ain't it my job to keep the lights on? Well, if she's not doing her job, I don't see it as important to do mine. Just is what it is. And heck, men don't require as much as women do. We might downsize while you're playing, because we'll lose that house. The next one ain't gonna be so big. Why? Because I had to go through the trouble of losing that house for you to get the message. So I don't think the next house we get should be the same size. I think it should be smaller. Let's go backwards so we can go forward. No, but we're about to hit the 3-hour mark, y'all. So I guess if y'all got any last thing you want to say, this is gonna be the time. So turn around. Any last comment?
Yeah. Make sure you find the sane woman. Leave these crazy women alone. Find yourself a sane woman that's going to get on your program, and you will be okay. But these women who are crazy, let them stay crazy. Leave them alone. They nothing but trouble.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Okay, shout out to J Dub. He say repo. Yeah, maybe she'll get it when somebody come get the car. Maybe she'll figure out I was serious about not paying the bills. Somebody gonna show up and get the car. Hey, baby, they out here taking the car. Yeah, I knew they'd come eventually. Ain't gonna be no rushing and trying to stop. It's gonna be, yeah, I knew they'd come eventually. Jado, any last words on your end?
No, just like, comment, subscribe, share. Good show, Roger. That's all I got.
Hey man, y'all, it's wild out here in these times. You gotta do what you can do, man. I think the safest way and the easiest way to let people know you're not playing, don't pay no bills, man. And do you really want to pay a bill for a bad wife? Use your money how you see fit. You're the leader of the home. If the home ain't working, why you paying for it? I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. If the home ain't working, why you paying for it? And people will say, well, you're going to mess up your credit. We'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna have to work to get it back. We'll be all right. Play with me. You'll mess around be in the 400s. Because ain't nothing getting paid. You gonna mess around, have a 765 and find yourself at 435, and you keep playing with me. Keep playing with me. I'm just saying, keep playing with me. You gonna learn. But y'all, I'm gonna close it out. It's been a great episode if you ask me. I'm just gonna say, y'all, we need to really start looking at Black women's mental health. And I think, honestly, the reason some people are focused on Black men's mental health because they're trying to deflect from women's lack of mental health. Some of these chicks just playing crazy, y'all. And it just is what it is. Okay? It just is what it is. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. If for all women in the future play with me, we're going from 735 to 425, real talk. And we going quick. Because I ain't paying squat. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.